Sweltering temperatures in Memphis, Tennessee have made Memphis Motorsports Park the hottest spot for truck racing. The drivers and crews have been here all day long, battling the heat and time, trying to ready their trucks using any means necessary to stay cool. In the home of the blues, Dennis Setzer is second only to the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley.
Memphis, Tennessee. It's home to the history of rhythm and blues, and home to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in July. Let's talk a little history. And I'm not talking about Graceland, the home of the king, either. Let me tell you about another king, Dennis Setzer. You want to talk about rhythm? He's won 3 of the last 4 races in the sizzle of the song. His song? It's called Chevy Silverado in Victory Lane. Thank you. Thank you very much. I bet you there's a few other performers trying to take home a #1 hit. Hamilton, Musgrave, Rudiman, Hornaday, Craven. So tonight, let's write our own song. Rock and roll or rhythm and blues. The O'Reilly 200, next.
Memphis Motorsports Park, just miles away from Graceland, the home of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. Tonight, it's a different kind of music, the rumble of pure horsepower. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. Sweltering heat in Memphis, Tennessee today. The temperature's upwards of 100 degrees. Now that the sun is beginning to set, it's dropped down to about 93. As we look at the 4 top 10 point standings, David Rudiman's heating up tracks as of late with 2 third-place finishes his last 2 outings, putting him back into the top 10 in 9th. Musgrave moved back to 2nd after Kentucky, but if Setzer doesn't cool off, all anyone is going to see is a vapor trail all the way to Miami Homestead.
Here's a news flash. 3 wins in 4 races has Dennis Setzer on a roll. Improving upon last year's mid-season performance, the tables are turned as Dennis Setzer has maintained the points lead for the last 3 races. A crew chief change for 2005 and a pit crew on their A-game has proven a lethal combination in the Truck Series. The rest of the competition now finds themselves chasing Dennis Setzer and the Chevy Silverado team as they sit with an 83-point lead. Everybody's hot in Memphis, but a guy definitely on the hot streak is Dennis Setzer. Dennis, what has been the combination? Is it Eric Phillips being added this year? Your pit crew, obviously you. What is it that makes you so strong right now?
It's just this Morgan Dollar team as a whole. You know, these guys have worked so hard. The pit stops have come around so great. Eric's doing a great job, and David Dollar is supplying us with whatever we need, along with Chevrolet and Silverado. So I don't know. We don't want to dissect it too much. Something might fly apart on it.
All right, good luck tonight. Now, another guy on a hot streak, inching ever so closely to a win this season, is Terry Cook.
It's no secret that when Terry Cook moved to the number 10 truck and PPC Racing that he and the team struggled. Whether it was getting tangled up in accidents or failed engine parts, TC found himself outside the top 10 in points for the first time since 2000. We'll enter a brand new year. New paint scheme, new trucks, and a new attitude. After a relatively slow start to this year, Team PPC has turned up the heat. Cook has put the Power Stroke Diesel in the top 10 in 5 of the last 7 races. So the question is not, will this team win, but when? And another good qualifying effort for Terry Cook. The question I asked in the video was, when is that win coming? I know last week it was sure awfully close, or 2 weeks ago.
It was, and you said it best. It was 2 weeks ago, but it felt like it was last week. We always say you're only as good as your last race. Man, we were so close last week, but the Ford Power Stroke Diesel by International truck was really good today in practice, qualified well, so who knows, maybe tonight might be the night.
Okay, good luck. We'll watch Terry Cook, and now let's go back up to Rick Allen.
Well, thank you, Ray. The drivers are ready for a slight breeze to combat this heat. Actually, a 120-mile-per-hour breeze would be great. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The winner of this race last year was able to visit Graceland with his son. That's Bobby Hamilton and Bobby Hamilton Jr. Able to take a nice tour of the monument and area here. The gates were opened up for an unveiling That is the new trophy that will be handed out to the winners of the race here at Memphis Motorsports Park. In celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Truck Series, we present the toughest NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series moments, made possible by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR. Moment 12 was breathtaking. We only have to go back to 2004. Two veterans locked horns last year in Atlanta. Series champion Mike Skinner put his truck in position to claim Toyota's first win in the Truck Series. All he had to do was get by Bobby Hamilton and stay out front. Well, he got out front, but coming off turn 2, he got sideways and saved it. Side by side, the two battled all the way to the finish line, where Bobby Hamilton was able to take the outside line to the win. Mike Skinner took to the infield for the second. Hamilton won the first Truck Series race at Atlanta in dramatic fashion. Just across the parking lot from where we're at right now is a quarter-mile dirt track. And last night, some of the stars of NASCAR were able to enjoy themselves a little bit in some dirt track racing. Guys like Bobby Hamilton, Johnny Benson, as well as David Rudiman. The stars of this series were able to go out and have a little fun. Some other people joined them out on the track as well. When the green flag dropped last night, some of the stars of Craftsman took to the dirt for a little fun. Also part of the field was amateur driver and pit reporter Ray Dunlap. That's him getting a little help there. When the checkered flag came out, it was David Rudiman taking the win and the hardware. Driver and pit reporter Ray Dunlap was caught up with David Rudiman.
Well, Rick, I think it's very kind of you to use a word like amateur. I know you could have come up with something much worse than that. I had my first time ever on dirt, but not yours, man. You had a good time last night, I know.
Oh, we had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can carry over on and do the same thing here tonight. It'd be great for NT and Bearings and Toyota. Guys, give me a great truck tonight. We just say we can keep it up front.
Okay, good luck. That's David Rudiman. Now let's check in with Wendy, who I believe is with a surprise pole sitter.
I sure am. He was a rookie last year, and he's removed that rookie stripe this year, rightfully so. He's our pole sitter tonight, and that is Brandon Witt. Brandon, how exciting is this for you? You're on the pole here at Memphis. You're only second time out here at this track. What's going to be your strategy tonight?
Oh, man, I'm so excited right now. I got a great McMillan Homes Tundra right now, and, you know, our strategy for tonight is just to stay in the top 10 all night, repeat what we did last weekend, and bring the truck home in one piece so we can get out of this ditch we're in the points right now.
All right, good luck on leading that first lap, Ray.
Bobby Hamilton will roll off third tonight, and of course this has been a very good racetrack for you. Tell me about your chances of winning tonight.
I mean, the Bayless Dodge has been good, Ray. It's we unloaded good. We made a couple of changes. Timothy had tested down here. Our truck's a little bit different than his, but both trucks are very good on long runs, so we feel good about it.
Okay, this is the guy that was in victory lane just a year ago. Now let's go back up top to Rick Allen.
Thank you, Ray. Bobby Hamilton, one of the drivers that were able to, I guess, have a little bit of fun when he was at Memphis Motorsports Park last night. It was David Rudiman who got the win on the dirt, and then it was Johnny Benson who was second, who he was able to hold off as they came down for the checkered flag. Just a 10-lap race, but again, the guys had fun, some of the drivers, and also Ray Dunlap getting out there and showing some of his skills as a driver. Well, the pre-race activities are continuing here at Memphis Motorsports Park, so let's join in them as we go back down trackside for today's invocation.
And ladies and gentlemen, we live in the greatest country on earth. I present to you the Memphis Recruiting Company, Jackson, Mississippi. With our presentation of colors, the recruiting battalion, our invocation is David Smith, the associate pastor of the Faith Baptist Church of Bartlett. David?
If you'd remove your hats, let's pray together. Father God, I thank you for this incredible day that you've created for this race to be on. Lord, we pray your hand of protection strong upon each of the drivers. Lord, prepare them mentally and physically. Keep them focused during the race. Lord, we give them to you. Lord, we pray for safety for the fans, for each of those workers that will be on the track. We pray in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
And ladies and gentlemen, music and motorsports goes hand in hand. I present to you two good friends from Building 429. They were the top new artists, the GMAs, Jason Roy and Paul Bowden, with our national anthem, guys.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave.
Great crowd on hand, fighting these heat, or the heat that is absolutely sweltering. It's been about as hot a day as you could possibly imagine in Memphis, Tennessee. But the 2005 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship could be on the line right here in Memphis.
Because Kane never could, so I always put all my blood and sweat on the line. So I do what I feel, if you don't think I will, say I won't.
Welcome back to Memphis, Tennessee. I really want to commend the fans. They've been here all day as well. A great crowd on hand for tonight's event. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series O'Reilly 200 on Speed Channel. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons, and Boris Said is actually in the booth and will stay here for the remainder of the race, unlike Kentucky where he did double duty. But thank you for staying with us for the start of this show. Now, first off, I want to say, Phil, this is our first race at Memphis under the lights. What's it going to be like?
Rick, not only is this the first race ever under the lights, there's never been a race car or a truck on this racetrack at night. So there was a lot of guesswork going on in the garage area. You talked to 4 different crew chiefs. You got 4 different opinions on what this racetrack was going to do. We saw track temperatures of upwards of 150 degrees during a day during practice and qualifying. Obviously, as the outside temperature cools off, the racetrack tends to cool off, and that's going to change how these trucks handle. A lot of guesswork going on today.
And as Phil just mentioned, 150 degrees on the track. What is this heat going to do to the drivers, Boris?
Well, it's tough on the drivers. I mean, normally they're battling each other out there, but tonight they have a common enemy, the heat. And NASCAR has already, let an 8th guy over the wall just to help the driver, which usually they don't do that till later in the race. But at home, you hear they have air conditioners in these trucks. But it's not an air conditioner like your street car. It's a little box called a cool box. And it actually only really cools the air down about 20 degrees less than ambient. So today it was 100 degrees. It's still 80-degree air blowing in your face, so it's not that cool. So the biggest thing tonight is going to be battling the elements, the heat.
And as Boris mentioned, they are allowing an 8th member to come across the wall to service the driver, to take care of any of their needs as far as water or anything else they might have to take care of. Let's go back down trackside for tonight's command.
And here at the Memphis Motorsports Park, O'Reilly 200, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, we have O'Reilly customer Billy Camp and Susan Winokur, Tennessee Commissioner of Tourist Development. Those great words in motorsports, guys.
Drivers, start your engines!
The engines are fired up, the fans are fired up, and I know the drivers are fired up. They're ready to get out and push the limit in Memphis.
Some say I'm a fool, I don't play by the rules. Well, I push the limit every time. Well, I do what I feel, if you don't think I will, say I won't.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And by Ford, the Ford Family Plan, the Ford family to the American family. Welcome. Let's look at this 3/4 mile oval, Phil.
It's a little bit different. Each end of the racetrack is a little bit different because you basically have a tri-oval down the front stretch. The corners are both banked 11 degrees. You've got a very tight entrance getting in turn number 2. We've got a wide sweeping entrance getting in turn number 1.
Look at the Craftsman race analysis. Again, 36 trucks will start.
200 laps, 150 miles. Purse is over $500,000, and the pit window is about 115 to 125 laps.
Trucks are beginning to roll off of pit road. Let's take a look at our Domino starting grid. Up front, Brandon Witt claims his first ever pole in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Just outside of him, a hot driver, finished third the past 2 races, David Ruderman.
There's our last year's champion inside road number 2, Bobby Hamilton. Terry Cook, such a heartbreak last time out. Inside of 5 laps to go with a big lead, cut a tire down, hit the wall.
And then you got Ron Hornaday Jr. and Terry Cook, and those are 2 guys that are well overdue for a win.
Ron Hornaday won the first race here at Memphis.
See Rick Crawford back after his long streak of consecutive races ended a couple weeks ago at Kentucky because of a qualifying crash. He's back here starting on the outside of row number 5.
Inside row 7, Dennis Setzer, another former winner at Memphis.
David Starr had a good top 10 run at Kentucky a couple weeks ago. Starts outside row number 9.
Johnny Benson searching for that win in the Truck Series to complete the trifecta for him. Wins in Cup and Busch, but nothing yet in the Truck Series.
Boy, if you look at anything to do with it, look at Robert Presley. It's a hot day, and he's got Eddie's ice cream on the truck. That's a cool thing. And the last name Presley in Memphis, you think he'd do for a win. If Elvis is up there, he could help him.
John Andre makes his second start in Billy Ballou's number 15. Had a great top 10 run at Kansas a couple of races ago.
Rounding out the field, Tam Topham and Roland Isaacs. 40 trucks were on hand to try to make this field. 36 are in. 4 did not make it. There are the 4 that were not able to get into this field for the O'Reilly 200. We'll be riding along with a few different drivers. We'll start off with the Team ASC Dodge, driven by Jimmy Spencer. He'll start 31st.
David Starr starts in the 18th position. He has had a couple top 10s here at Memphis out of 4 starts.
And then you have Dennis Setzer, and I mean he's Mr. Excitement right now. He's got more wins than anybody. He's on a hot streak, and I'm sure everyone's going to try to derail his good fortune.
David Ruderman would love to get out front and win the first race for his team owner, Darrell Waltrip, since he has jumped into the Toyota stables. Brandon Witt has the possibility of winning $18,000 for his team if he is able to win from the pole. The Craftsman win from the pole award up to $18,000 now. If he doesn't win, $2,000 will again be added to the purse. That continues to grow. There's $50,000 that have been made available by Craftsman for the winners from the pole in the Craftsman Truck Series. Let's go back down to pit road and Wendy Norris.
Thanks, Rick. You'll see the 47 truck is in the field tonight, and it's usually occupied with an all-star driver. We've seen Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte in the truck, but tonight we have a new kid on the block making his first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series start. He's a Joe Gibbs development driver, and he's only 21 years old. Eric Almarillo driving for Morgan Dollar Motorsports tonight. Now, he qualified 33rd. He's in the back, but he got a little loose in qualifying. He actually was pretty fast on the charge in both practices. What's important here, he has plenty of experience behind him on pit road. He has experienced crew chief Randy Goss. He has his coach as Dennis Setzer, and he also has a Joe Gibbs engine in there tonight. Ray?
Hey, Wendy, tonight Robert Huffman makes his 40th career start. He's in the number 12 truck, had a good qualifying effort, but the bad news is he has yet to make a top 5 finish in his career here in Craftsman Truck Series. Now, our next race is at Indianapolis Raceway Park in 2 weeks, and Robert will not be driving that truck. And throughout the rest of the year, they will have another driver in for most of the season. That driver drives in the Nextel Cup Series. Now, because of legal contracts, I can't tell you exactly who it's going to be yet, but I can tell you this. His uniform will be very, very clean.
And I think that was a pretty good hint. Ray normally throws out pretty good hints. Flagman letting him know that one more time around we'll see the green flag. The lights are off now in the pace truck.
We saw a lot of the drivers swerve around. You wouldn't think that they would have to get much heat in these tires, as hot as it is here, but they want to get a little bit of heat, get a little bit closer towards operating temperatures when they start.
7 different winners have won here in the 7 different starts, and if you look at where they started, no one has ever won this race from outside the top 5.
It does pay to start up front here because this is a pretty difficult racetrack to pass on.
Just on the outside of that top 5, starting 6th, Terry Cook. Ford still looking for their first win of 2005. It's 2 Toyotas up front, though, leading the field.
How about Brandon Witt coming off his best career finish a couple of weeks ago at Kentucky? He finished 6th and comes right back here and backs it up with a pole. Great job by Jamie Jones and his guys and Brandon Witt.
Shows that Brandon Witt not only can run well on the 1.5 mile, he can also run well on the short tracks. It's 1/4 mile Memphis Motorsports Park. He will bring the field to the green flag as the flag flies through the air. We're underway with the O'Reilly 200. Phil, early on, I want to point out, I think I saw from the 04 of Bobby Hamilton, maybe some overflow coming out of on the right side of the hood. Could we be having heat problems early on like this?
Well, we shouldn't be. No more than they've run these engines just a few minutes. But a lot of times they run so slow here on the pace laps. A lot of times these trucks will overheat. Now you're running 120, actually up to 130 miles an hour on the straightaways. So that'll push a lot of air through the radiator to cool these things back off.
Plus, a lot of times they kind of overfill the water tank, and some of the excess just kind of blows off when they're running slow. Pretty amazing how patient everybody is at the start, all getting single file pretty early. Unusual for the NASCAR Truck Series.
See Todd Cleaver, the 50 truck, works to the inside of the 22 of Bill Lester. There's David Starr, his Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet right there. That's turn 1. You want to stay right next to that curb. You want the proper way, the preferred way around this racetrack is right on the bottom.
Do you think as the race goes on, the outside groove will come in?
Well, last year, Boris, Bobby Hamilton made the pass for the win on Shane Neal on the outside down in turns 3 and 4. So the outside groove will definitely work.
Riding on board with David Starr in that Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. Tries to make his way around Mike Skinner. Ever so close to the wall here.
You want to use all the racetrack you can. You want to get a good angle. You want to be able to arc that truck right into the corner from the outside wall down right to the curb on the inside of the racetrack.
Now, Brandon Witt being out front, leading this race, having the pole, is he at all, would he be a little bit naive and driving too hard too early?
Well, you definitely want to save the tires, but most of the crew chiefs and the drivers in the garage here told me they put upwards of 60 or 70 laps on their tires in practice and really saw not a great deal of fall off as far as lap times go, so they think they have a pretty good tire here. It's essentially the same tire that Goodyear brought last year. It's exactly the same right side tire. It's a little bit different construction on the left side, but the same compound. So very, very similar tires to what we had last year.
Battle for 9, 10 Musgrave, and the 14 of Rick Crawford. The heat was an issue early on and all day, and now the sun beginning to set on this 3/4 mile track. And it's Brandon Witt holding on to the top spot. He started on the pole for the first time in his career, and he's holding on to it. For the O'Reilly 200 on Speed Channel. We're under our first caution of the night. It happened on lap 8. We had problems with Brendan Gaughan and the 29 of Brad Keselowski.
See if we can take a look at what happened. You see Brendan was on the inside of another truck. Looks like maybe Robert Huffman, and tried to stay off of Robert Huffman, and in the process turned his truck around. Nice job by Brad Keselowski to avoid him.
Yeah, it's kind of the sympathy spin. He didn't want to take him out, so he ended up taking himself out. But it didn't look like any damage.
I think Ray might have some more information. Ray?
Well, Brendan says that he doesn't believe he hurt the tires at all, guys. He said that they'll take a look at it here as he brings his Jasper engines Dodge in right now. Now, he is running just a little bit hot, so they're going to pull some tape off of the front of there, maybe about a 1/4 inch of tape to try to give him a little more air. They look the tires over. They'll give him some fuel. And I see his teammate Steve Park also had come down pit road.
Let's take another look at what happened to Brendan. You see him try to stay off of Robert Huffman. Now Brad Keselowski, the 29 truck, does a great job avoiding it, but you see Brendan stay out of the outside wall. That's the key. There's another look. You see him Again, trying to avoid Robert Huffman, the 12 truck, and then here comes Bradley Kolowski, misses him, but Brendan has the presence of mind to keep that truck out of the outside wall. So very, very, very little damage to the tires, probably because he kept it moving all the time.
Yep, and he was really good on the wheel the way he turned the truck right around. That's probably comes from his Baja days.
And that's the key, Boris, is you have to keep driving these things. You never give up on it until that truck is stopped. You always try to avoid the wall at all costs.
Yep, that's big because the wall always wins.
Even if they're softer walls.
Dennis Setzer holding on to the wheel and trying to get his Chevy Silverado up front. Tuesday nights on Speed Channel, Texas Hardtails. Take a look into the life and twisted times of renowned bike builder Rick Fairless and his custom bike shop, Strokers Dallas. Texas Hardtails. Mostly true, totally unreal. Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed Channel.
Boy, a lot of guys during this yellow, and maybe it's because they haven't run at night yet, but I saw the 62 come in and the 2 came in and they made adjustments. It looked like the 62 took some wedge out of the back. So maybe because of the weather, the sun going down, they're not quite handling the way they were in practice.
A lot of guesswork too, Boris. So none of these crew chiefs really had any book to go back to for notes because they've never run a lap at night on this racetrack. These are temporary lights that Musco has brought in for this race. No practice at night. Nobody's ever tested here at night. The very first time we're going to see trucks run at night here at Memphis.
Green flag flies again, and out in front it is Brandon Witt. David Ruderman looking to the inside as they work their way through 1 and 2.
You have to think Ron Hornaday's way overdue for a win. I mean, the guy is like a hungry dog on these short tracks. I love the way he drives here.
It looked like he had a great run going at Mansfield earlier this year, and yes, we see David Ruderman battle for the lead with Brandon Witt, but Ron Hornaday was black flagged for jumping a restart, and that cost him that win at Mansfield. You know he'd like to get it back here.
Ruderman riding right behind Brandon Witt. Brandon Witt leading all of the laps so far in Memphis.
These trucks move up and down the backstretch. There's a pretty good series of bumps down the backstretch, and on into turn number 3. Sometimes it'll upset these trucks as they try to enter the corner.
Bobby Hamilton, too, right back there in 4th place. He's pretty racy early. Usually he's Mr. Patience, and you don't really see him till the end of the race.
This is somewhat of a shorter race. This is a race where actually you could stop one time on this racetrack and make it all the way to the finish.
As a matter of fact, last year Bobby Hamilton did that and won the race. They had an early caution around lap 25, then they went all the way past halfway for the second caution. That's when he pitted. They had a number of cautions in the second half of the race, but Bobby stayed out, maintained his track position the entire time, and went on to win this race.
Here we see a little bit of a gap now between Brandon Witt and David Ruderman, meaning either Brandon Witt is that good or David Ruderman may be holding up guys like Ron Hornaday.
We see a lot of trucks right behind David Ruderman. That's pretty indicative of the fact that he may be holding him up a little bit. Now, you don't see Ron Hornaday all over his tailgate trying to get by him, so he's not holding him up front, but he is holding him up a little bit because Brandon Witt is able to drive away.
Brandon Witt's put just over a half a second between himself and David Ruderman. That's 1 and 2. Hornaday holding on to 3rd. Bobby Hamilton 4th. Jack Sprague, the master of short tracks, in 5th.
I think, too, a lot of these guys don't know what the tires are going to do, so they're probably being a little conservative, and they're probably just happy to ride for a little while just to see what the truck's going to do after 30 or 40 laps.
You have to remember, this is only the 3rd short track race of the season. We ran earlier this year at Martinsville and at Mansfield, so it's been a long time since these trucks have been on a short track.
Here we got Ricky Craven trying to get by Robert Huffman. That's 19th and 20th. Look at Craven get right up behind Robert Huffman as he tries to make the pass on the inside now.
Brandon Witt is using that clean racetrack. He ran the fastest lap that last time around, a little over a 10th of a second faster than anybody else on the racetrack, as we see Ricky Craven try to make the pass on the bottom on Robert Huffman. See a lot of damage to the left front corner of Robert Huffman.
And Mike Skinner's coming up behind, going to try to get on the inside there and get position on him too and go by with him.
Once you get hung out there, is this like a track like a Daytona or something? If you get hung out to dry, everybody can get by you?
It really is. I think you want to be on the bottom of the racetrack. As the race wears on, you have so many trucks run the bottom of the racetrack, and sometimes it will get slick, and the racetrack, the groove will move up a little bit on the racetrack. But right now, I think the bottom of the racetrack is where everyone wants to be.
Wendy, what's going on with Ricky?
Ricky Craven's been pretty quiet on the radio, but during that caution, he did come over and tell John Munson on the radio that he had no water pressure. So no water pressure under those caution laps for Ricky Craven. So we'll see how that ends up on the 99.
Ricky Craven started out so strong this year, had all top 10 finishes, but won the first 7 races. The last 5 races, 13th is his best finish. Ray, what's going on down there, buddy?
Hey, Phil, I just wanted to add to what I said at the top of the show. Now, Robert Huffman, the driver of the 12, does still work for Darrell Waltrip Motorsports. He has not been fired completely. He will run in a few more races this year. They're just going to put a different driver in there to try to evaluate the program. And like I say, the driver they have planned will be able to run most of the races throughout the season. But Huffman hasn't been fired. They're just making a driver change.
There's Bobby Hamilton, the 04 truck. We're getting a report that maybe, as you mentioned earlier, Rick, that we saw some steam coming out, maybe overheating a little bit, but he's maintaining the 4th position and really running some good lap times right now.
Could be steam, could be a little bit of brakes too, because they're going to really start using the brakes the more they run tonight.
2 years ago, it was notorious. We would see Bobby Hamilton with the fender actually rubbing on the tires. So we'd see smoke. We'd see tire smoke all the time. Are we going to see that again at a racetrack like Memphis?
Well, we could. We're not seeing it right now, but let's take a look back at what we saw. You see the steam coming out right at the base of the windshield. That's where the overflow is on these trucks for a lot of drivers. So the drivers can tell without having to look at the gauge. Well, the good news is we don't see any steam anymore. The bad news is if it pushes all the water out, you're not going to have any steam. But it won't be long before he figures out that he's got no more water.
Yeah, I'm sure when he comes in for a stop, he'll probably be pulling some tape off the front of that grill. Or it could have been over full, because now it's not doing it anymore. Normally, once it heats up, it doesn't stop.
And right at the beginning of the race, I know I saw some either steam or water shooting out of the right side of that truck. So problems early on, possibly, for Bobby Hamilton. But no problems for our leader, Brandon Witt, holding on to the top spot. He's been out there all 25 laps so far. And so now he'll have to deal with that, as will the trucks behind him trying to take away the top spot. But there's a little distance now between Brandon Witt and 2nd place David Rudeman.
Yeah, ever since the sun started to set, he started to drive for the sunset.
Oh, and problems here in the 23 of Johnny Benson. Smoke coming out the right side.
Flat right front tire for Johnny Benson. See if they're going to throw the caution. The caution flag is out, so that will definitely save Johnny Benson.
Could save Bobby Hamilton as well. If there is a problem with overheating, they can get some tape off the truck.
Johnny did get lapped. He is coming onto pit road, and the leader has gone by him, so he will lose a lap. But could have been a lot worse. Going to be interesting to see if all these teams will decide to pit here. We've run 33 laps so far.
So Johnny Benson with the flat right front tire will come down and get that service done. When we come back, we'll tell you who else makes their stop on pit road. For the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, it's the O'Reilly 200 on Speed channel. Brandon Witt holding out of the top spot. Then Johnny Benson coming back in again. And again, he was the reason for our 2nd caution.
Take a look, Johnny Benson. You see, everything was fine. He was on the bottom of the racetrack, and the truck just took off towards the wall. Fortunately, Johnny caught it in time, did not make any contact with the wall. Lost a lap. Interesting strategy there, Boris. He decided to come on the pits. He might have ridden around there and stayed on the lead lap, but that tire probably would have ripped the fender off that truck. Now he's just going to play to try to get the free pass, get back on the lead lap, and without any damage to the fender of the truck.
And he got lucky with the yellow, because without the yellow, he would have lost 2 or 3 laps. And he came in and put the 2 rights on, then he came back in and put the lefts on, so now he's got 4 fresh tires.
We had documented the 04 of Bobby Hamilton looking like it was overheating. Ray, is that what was happening?
Absolutely, Rick. They came here in on lap 34, pulled some tape off, did not put any tires on it, but they did get it full of fuel here. But they took off about 1.5 inches of tape off of the front of the grill there, so that should be the determining factor to tell us whether that will solve the problem. Wendy?
Ricky Craven is one of our points contenders. He sat 5th coming into this race in the points, but unfortunately he's having problems. He has been overheating. They came in on that caution and added water to the truck, but his temps only went back down to 235. He was 17th before that stop, so a little unfortunate events. Hopefully they'll get that 99 truck cooled down and it'll be good to go for the rest of the race.
We mentioned so much guesswork by a lot of these crews. I mean, they knew it was going to cool off tonight, but it's still 90-some degrees when we started this race.
Well, speaking of hot, Leanne Tweeden is the new host of NASCAR Nation. You can go off track in depth and into the lives of NASCAR superstars. NASCAR Nation, live beyond the fast lane. It's Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed Channel. All these fans wanting to make their way onto NASCAR Nation as the citizens of NASCAR Nation. Brandon Witt holding on to the top spot, and as he mentioned in his interview earlier, he was very excited then. Well, I bet he's even more excited right now if he's led every one of the 36 laps we've completed.
Be interesting to see if he can check out into the sunset again. Looks like he's got a really good truck, and he was setting fast lap after fast lap, even when he got to traffic.
And normally we would see a double file start there with the slower lap trucks being able to come up beside him, but drivers like Johnny Benson and Tam Topham didn't opt to take that inside line.
Well, Johnny Benson probably had to restart at the tail end of the longest line because of that flat tire. He made his way to pit road early on to keep that tire from doing any damage to his fender, and Tam Topham has been struggling a little bit this race, so he probably decided not to pull up on the inside and elected to start back at the back of the field.
I don't think he elected. I think that was just NASCAR telling him you're starting at the end of the longest line because you pitted when the pits were closed.
Well, some younger guys and some guys trying to learn their way don't want to hinder anyone on the racetrack, and so they sometimes will opt to take the back of the pack. David Ruderman would love to get in front of the pack. He doesn't want to play second fiddle to Brandon Witt in his Toyota Tundra.
Nor does that Goodrich Chevrolet right behind him, Ron Hornaday. He's led so many of these races over the years and got a great truck. Again, as usual, running third right now. There's Ted Musgrave. He's one of the trucks that made the pit stop along with Bobby Hamilton. Ted, I think, put tires on his truck, didn't he, Ray?
Yes, he did, Phil. Put 4 tires on and some wedge in the right rear for that Mopar Dodge. And I also saw that Mike Skinner came to pit road for 4 tires also. So awfully early in the race to be changing tires here, but Musgrave was not happy with the handling on his Mopar Dodge.
I thought the 04 made a mistake by not putting tires on when he pitted, but it looks like Ted really can't do anything with them. So the tires are really lasting good.
Deborah Renshaw just outside of Ted Musgrave as they're running side by side. Musgrave able to get back out in front of Deborah Renshaw now.
Got a lot of side-by-side racing back here in the back of the pack. You see Robert Huffman looks to the inside.
Oh,
makes some contact.
Got on the inside of Deborah Renshaw. Look at the save if she can hold on. Renshaw onto the access road just outside of, or just inside of turn 2. And the caution will come out for Deborah Renshaw.
I don't think she was impressed with that little hello. She did a good job keeping it off the wall, though.
We've run about 10 laps since that last caution. I wonder if the rest of the lead lap trucks are going to make their way up pit road. About half the field pitted that last time. Take another look at it. You see Robert Huffman's right next to the curb. I don't think Deborah either realized he wasn't there, Boris, or maybe she thought he was going to back off and give her some room, but they made a little contact and around she went.
No room given as we take another view of this.
They're each doing their own deal, and it looks like their deals just collided just the tiniest bit. It's hard to believe that such a little tap can spin one of these 3,500-pound trucks around.
Well, in defense of Robert Huffman, he really had nowhere to go. There was a wall on the left side of him. He was just racing, and it looked as though Deborah wanted that inside line as well.
And once he committed to take that inside line, then he was there.
Yeah, that's just a byproduct of short track racing.
And the fans are enjoying it here at Memphis Motorsports Park. We'll be back with more on Speed Channel. Channel's putting you in the director's chair. Get signed up for Speed Onboard Pass and take control of the race. If you're a fan of ALMS, Grand Am, ARCA, or IROC, then you need to get the Speed Onboard Pass now. For only $4.99 per race, you get multiple race cameras streaming live, plus live timing and scoring and exclusive live pit-to-car audio. And Speed Onboard Pass lets you chat with fellow race fans all while the race is going on. So take control with Speed Onboard Pass. Log on to speedtv.com and sign up now. That first one is tomorrow at the AMA race.
We had a handful of trucks make their way to pit road on this caution flag. Most of the lead lap trucks stayed out. Johnny Benson will get the free pass. So great strategy on his part by not tearing the fender off that truck. Go ahead, take your penalty, get the lap down, but put fresh tires on that truck, gets the free pass. The very next caution flag, he's back on the lead lap and in contention. Ricky Craven was in again with the 99 Super Chips Ford, making some adjustments.
And going back to Johnny, too, where he's stopped now, if the yellow comes out in another 30 or 40 laps, everyone else is going to pit, and he's going to get good track position.
And because Bobby Hamilton pitted when he did, he's not going to be able to use the same strategy that he used a year ago where he only stopped one time.
That's right. He will definitely have to stop again.
But Ron Hornaday getting a good jump going to the outside.
He's going to make that outside pass work, possibly side by side with David Rudiman.
Takes away the second spot from David Rudiman, and now Ron Hornaday sets his sights on the inside of Brandon Witt. He's going to try for the pass on the first restart lap. It looked as though they almost made contact there, and Ron Hornaday's out front.
I think almost is an understatement.
It's Ron Hornaday taking over the top spot. Brandon Witt with a wake-up call there. David Rudiman gets by him, and so now Brandon Witt's fighting to hold on to second.
Well, Ron Hornaday is one of the best in the business when it comes to restarts. He's always been like that.
Watch Brandon Witt fight back on the outside. He wants to go back after Ron Hornaday and get that lead back.
Brandon Witt with a very strong Toyota Tundra tonight.
And he made it work on the outside.
He does take that second spot back from David Rudiman. And now, like you said, he's looking to get back with Ron Hornaday.
We saw Ron Hornaday jump on the outside of David Rudiman to take over the second position on the restart. But then watch this going down in turn number 3. That's the 6 Ron Hornaday. He drives so hard in the corner, he cannot stay on the bottom of the racetrack. He makes some contact with Brandon Witt, pushes him up the racetrack. That allows the 17 of David Rudiman to get side by side. Brandon Witt subsequently got that second position back, and now he's after Ron Hornaday.
Plus, did you see his wheels? He's almost in the grass going down. He is in the grass going down there.
Absolutely.
Outside, still there.
That was riding on board with David Rudiman as Ron Hornaday took the shortest route around this track, which actually included going to the infield.
Is that the block pass or the boat pass?
Oh, look at this side-by-side racing. This is short track racing for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
It's a lap down truck, the 08 of Sam Topham. There's John Andretti, the 15 truck. He's hung in behind that lap truck. He needs desperately to get to the outside. That truck is holding him up. You see Jimmy Spencer drive by on the outside. John says, please somebody let me up.
And Jimmy Spencer, he's been in the pit a few times working on his truck, and it looks like he's getting it better and better and better.
John Andretti. Oh, and he gets into the side of the 08 of Tam Topham. Topham spins around, and look at the problems behind him. Timothy Peters involved in this, as is Ricky Craven in the 99.
That looked like a situation where John said, hey, I can't get by him on the outside. Let me see if I can get by him on the inside. Didn't look like there was enough room. They made some contact, and that allowed this melee to take place here. We'll have to take a look and see exactly what happened, but it looked like John might have made some contact, and that started that thing. See a little damage to the left rear corner of the 99 Super Chip Sport of Ricky Craven.
If he's got a tire rub, he's definitely going to have to take care of that.
Folks, we're only 51 laps into this, and this is our 4th caution. This is short track racing.
We only had 2 cautions in 105 laps last year. See the 08, there's Tam Topham. You see the damage to his truck.
Damage also to the 99 of Ricky Craven. Let's look back at this.
Now watch the 15 truck of John Andretti. He drives down on the inside. He makes just the slightest bit of contact because the 07 looked like he may have pushed the 08 down.
Phil, I don't know if John actually made contact with the 08. It looked like the 07 and the 08 got into each other.
Yeah, I don't think John got into him at all. He was close, but
it looked like the 07 came down and hit the 08. That spun him around.
Right. If John did hit him, it was after the 08 was completely sideways.
Yeah.
From that angle, it looks even more like John did not make any contact until possibly right at the last instant after the 08 was completely sideways. But you see Timothy Peters involved, the 4. We know that Ricky Craven, the 99, has some damage. Here comes the leaders down pit road.
Ron Hornaday leading, Brandon Witt, Jack Sprague, Terry Cook, and a slew of other trucks heading down pit road. Ray.
Well, Ron Hornaday decided that he is going to go ahead and make this a 2-stop race. Actually, Wally Rogers, his crew chief, made that decision, but they said, yeah, let's go ahead and do it that way. Now, whenever you see this crew chief, where this crew go into action, you got to say, hey, Jason. We got Jasons all over the place here. Jason Meeks is the jackman, or Jason Tate is, excuse me. Romsberg and Meeks do the changing on the tires. So there's Jasons in every direction for Hornaday. The Goodwrench Chevy's getting his service. The guys will get 4 tires on it, and Hornaday will head back to the racetrack.
Look at the steam coming out of the 10 of Terry Cook right now.
We've seen so many of these trucks overheat on this race. Obviously, it was 105 degrees or something like that during the day, but these trucks do not make long enough runs in practice to really simulate how warm these trucks are going to get because they continue to get warmer and warmer and warmer.
With this caution, it really made the team show their hands. You got guys like David Rudiman, looks like he's going to try to do it on one stop. The 4-6 truck, a lot of those guys are just going to stop one time. going to be interesting to see what happens at the end, how important tires are.
See, we're still 147 laps from the end of this race. I don't think any of these guys can go 147 laps. This is a 3/4 mile track. I think about 120, maybe 130 laps may be the most that anybody can go. So I think all these teams are going to have to pit again.
David Ruderman out in front of the field now, so we have a new leader on this 3/4 mile short track. Wendy, how's David doing?
David's doing pretty good now. He has been free on entry and through the center, but he's been good off. They decided to stay out because they thought it was going to be a quickie yellow, and then at the last second, you saw all the leaders come down pit road. Jason Overstreet said pit, pit, and all of a sudden, David Ruderman was past that entry point. So David Ruderman now is looking for lap 82. It's his magic number, and just to add what Phil was talking about, those other guys that pitted can't go the rest of the way. David Ruderman might be sitting pretty with one stop.
Looks like something happened to Todd Bodine, like he's getting a 1-lap penalty for something. I don't know what he did.
Looks like he's playing with some wires on the dash. You see him, Boris, playing with some wires on the dash. Looks like maybe he has an ignition problem. There he goes. There he goes.
Yeah, one time I was running and they have that kill button on the steering wheel for safety, and I hit that under a yell, and I didn't know what happened. And I looked like an idiot sitting in the front straightaway. Then my crew chief said, try that button, and it started right up. So hopefully it was something that simple.
You know, Wendy was talking about the communication between Jason Overstreet and David Ruderman, and how Jason said, come on down, come on down. Well, if you're not aware of it, the entrance to pit road is actually on the backstretch. It's entering into turn 3. This is it right here. You have to make the commitment right here on this access road, which is coming into turn 3, to get onto pit road. And so if he had already gone by that, he could not come down pit road.
That's right. If the caution flag was to come out, if you made a green flag pit stop and you have to enter right there, if the caution flag comes out, they've got an escape route. You don't have to stay on pit road. There's an escape route before they actually get to the commitment cones that you can go back on the racetrack. But under caution, once you commit there, you have to come on down pit road. But like David Ruderman missed that entrance, he couldn't pit.
Just right here as they're going by right now, that's where that commitment area is, as far as if you want to come down pit road under caution, you have to come down this access road. And so David Ruderman maybe having a little bit of a mistake there as far as strategy and pitting.
Sometimes it may work out, though, as we talked about. This could be a 1 pit stop race for him. Now, that may force him to that kind of a schedule. We've got 143 laps to go or something like that. So, you know, he may run another 40 laps, decide to pit then and say, hey, that's all I'm going to pit. Where we know everyone else has to make another pit stop, too.
If the tires hold up, I think it's going to work for him, because in the end of it, he's going to have track position when Ron Hornaday and those guys make their second stop.
Look at the front end of Bill Lester, that number 22 Toyota. It looks as though he had to check up and didn't get checked up soon enough.
Probably a little chain reaction on that restart there. You see something, when somebody goes and they back off for whatever reason, then something like that happens. And the farther back you go, the more vulnerable you are to something like that happening.
Husqvarna 22 coming down pit road to try to get some work done on that. And obviously, at a track like this where it's extremely hot, you don't want to have problems with your radiator, and that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, what you don't see, there's a lot of duct work going to the radiator, and that's really important how it channels the air in. And without that, you know, they're going to have to fix that, or that truck will just overheat.
Let's see if we can take a look at what happened to the 22. Watch the red truck left of your screen. Jack Sprague right there, the 16 truck. You see everyone in front of him had gone, and then all of a sudden Jack had to slow down to keep from running into the truck behind him. Bill didn't get quite as much warning as he needed to. Made some pretty hard contact with the 16 of Jack Sprague.
This is a battle for second. Todd Cleaver and Rick Crawford. Now the front has shaken down a little bit. We've got David Ruderman out front, Todd Cleaver second, Rick Crawford third, Setzer is fourth, and Brendan Gaughan, who was involved in an incident early on, is in fifth.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan is one of the trucks that pitted back on lap number 10. The trucks right now running first through fourth have not pitted yet in this race.
Dennis Setzer trying to get out to the front. One of the hottest drivers in NASCAR right now. 3 out of the last 4 races have been claimed by Dennis Setzer. The heat is definitely getting hot on the tires.
5:30 p.m. on ESPN.
Let's take a closer look at the Premier Division of NASCAR in our Nextel Cup update. See the top 10 in points for the Nextel Cup. And with just 7 races remaining, these are the only ones that are locked into this race.
That's right, because you have to either be in the top 10 or within 400 points. As you can see, Dale Jarrett 10 is over 400 points behind. So as of right now, only 10 guys eligible.
Tomorrow on Speed Channel, get fired up with NASCAR this morning. See how the field stacks up, what final adjustments are left to be made, and how the chase for the championship is shaking out. NASCAR this morning. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. live and only on Speed Channel. Fans are on their feet watching great racing at Memphis Motorsports Park. It's David Rudeman holding on to the top spot as we've gone 68 laps so far of 200. Again, a 3/4 mile track. It's a 150-mile race.
Some great racing back in the pack there. You see Jason Montgomery, the 18 truck. He leads that battle. The 29, Brett Keselowski. There's Eric Amarillo. The 47 makes some contact with the, looks like the 4, and spins out.
Locks the wheels up. Caution flag comes out.
Didn't hit anything, so he should be okay.
Going to get that truck back going before the leader gets there, hopefully. He needs to get it going. Needs to keep it running. Here comes the leader, David Rudeman.
He's going to go a lap down.
Oh. He's going to try to get the benefit of the doubt here and see if the NASCAR will allow him to go by our leader, David Rudeman. Pretty innocent spin. Looked like he made a little contact with the 4 of Timothy Peters. Didn't hit anything, but didn't have quite enough room to get turned around without hitting the inside wall, so he needed to back up, did a 3-point turn, and unfortunately didn't look like he got going before David Rudeman, but we'll see what NASCAR has to say.
Eric Almirola working with the Joe Gibbs Racing development program as well as the diversity program, and so he is driving that 47, has brought our most recent caution flag out, and with that, does that give the opportunity for David Rudeman to come now to pit road?
Well, it definitely does, but he's right now probably a little bit outside his window to pit. I'm not sure if he wants to come in right now. I think he would rather see this race go 10 or 20 laps. Then he knows he would have enough fuel to go the distance.
Yeah, I think it's too early right now. All these top 5, 6 guys, they got to stay out.
And look at this. Crawford, the 14 truck, makes his way down pit road. See, Robert Press is going to follow him, but the top 3, the 17 of Rudeman, the 50 of Todd Cleaver, and the 46 of Dennis Setzer, stay out on the racetrack.
And there's his crew looking like, well, I thought you were going to come down. Rick Crawford, after a very difficult time 2 weeks ago where Rick Crawford was involved in a accident during qualifying, wasn't able to continue his streak of consecutive starts, now comes in from pit road.
Yeah, Cowboy Starlin, he said they had a pretty good truck here. Rick was feeling pretty good. He took a pretty hard hit a couple weeks ago at Kentucky. Obviously, it stopped his streak, consecutive starts at 210, but Rick, glad to be back in this truck, was at Kentucky for the race, wanted to be back in the truck, but the doctor said he probably shouldn't do it. So here he is back. He's got a great run going, been running in the top 5. Dragging is something along the left side. I don't know if that may be a side skirt or something like that. If that's the case, it's probably nothing big, no big deal.
Ray.
Todd Cleaver was about to come down pit road. His crew chief Mike Beeman said, yeah, let's pit right here, get some tires on it. Cleaver said, are we good to go the rest of the way? And Mike said, no, we're about 10 or 11 laps short. And Todd said, why in the world would we pit? He said, well, let's get some tires on it and see what we've got. They said, well, wait, let's see what the leader does. If Rudeman comes, we're coming. If he stays out, we're staying out. And that's exactly what happened.
Pit strategy taking place. Eric Almirola was the reason for our most recent caution. Let's take a look at what.
He drives down the corner. He's on the inside of Timothy Peters. Looks like he might have hit the curb and then bounced up into Timothy Peters, and then in order to try to keep from crashing Timothy Peters, looked like he grabbed hold of the steering wheel, turned it left.
Yeah, it's a good call. You can see it right here as he gets up on the curve and just pops it around.
Tries to stay off of Timothy Peters and then turns around. A couple guys do a good job getting by him. Steve Parker on the inside, Johnny Benson on the outside. Another look. Looks like he might look. You saw the grass fly, just like Ron Hornaday. He ran through the edge of the racetrack in the grass, just like Ron Hornaday, where Ron Hornaday ran into Brandon Witt. He ran into Timothy Peters and unfortunately paid the price with a spin.
As good as a Goodyear is, I've never seen one work good in the grass.
Not a lot of tread on these Goodyear.
No.
Not that bad, dude. You know, I mean, I've moved around a little bit with it, tried stuff, and I mean,
Eric Almirola in the 47 and holding on to the top spot now. It is the NTN bearings of David Rudeman. Wendy.
Open. Hello, hi. David Rudeman, our leader, said he finally got a chance to settle down and drive his truck real easy. Now, originally he was free on entry. Fortunately, his truck has tightened up on him, gotten a little bit more easy to drive for him, but he still needs overall grip on the front end and rear end grip is what he needs. Now, Jason Overstreet sits atop the pit box, and the magic number he just gave me was 85. And folks, it looks like the 17 is going to try and go on one stop here at Memphis. Ray?
Trouble for our pole setter, Wendy. We talked about the heat here all day long. Well, the heat is a big problem for Brandon Witt and his number 38 Toyota tonight for two reasons. Number one, his water temperature is way high, 265 to 270. They're going to have to get some more tape off of that. And also, the driver is getting blisters on the top of his back and on his back side because he says the inside of the truck extremely hot also. So not just the water temperature, but the driver. Very hot tonight for our pole sitter, Brandon Witt.
Well, that's not surprising either. You never know if you have a new seat or something like that. You don't really have the insulation in the truck. Maybe it's a different truck than they haven't run this truck when it was really, really hot. So you don't know these things until you run an extended period of time like they have here tonight.
Well, talk about what actually is under a seat in a race truck as opposed to your normal car. You don't have what you got in a race truck where you've got exhaust and oil and all that stuff that are under their seat.
Also, it's not 140 degrees in your passenger car ever, and you're not wearing a snowmobile suit, basically. So, you know, it's hard for the average person to imagine how hot these things are inside.
We restart on lap 75. It's David Ruderman out in front. And again, this is a 200-lap race. We're 25 laps away from the half-point mark. And, Bill, you're saying that we could go upwards of maybe 120 laps if they want to.
That's right. You heard Wendy say the magic number for David Ruderman is lap 85. Once he gets to lap 85, that means he's in his window. He can run 115 laps. But I think if he had to, he could run up to 150, maybe even 120 laps if the caution doesn't come out until then without having to pit for fuel.
I like the one-stop strategy because in the end, you know, it looks like the tires aren't really slowing up. They're still running really respectable times, you know, the top 4 or 5 trucks. And in the end, they're going to have track position on guys like Ron Hornaday, who's going to have to stop again later.
We don't have to go any farther back than last year. Bobby Hamilton pitted around lap 102, 104, something like that, and that was his only pit stop during the race, and he won the race. So we know that a one pit stop strategy will work here, and this is a very similar tire, same right side tire, and very, very similar left side tire to what we had last year.
The tires were the big issue the first part of this season because we've seen so many track records fall because of a little bit softer compound in the tires, but here they stayed fairly similar.
So we saw 11 track records of the 13 places that we qualified this year because Goodyear went to a little softer tire, really more as a result of the Nextel Cup Series trying to reduce the downforce and try to give the driver a little bit of feel back so they got a little bit softer tire. Well, the trucks are a byproduct of that. They get their softer tires too, but Goodyear probably felt like this tire was a little bit on the soft side anyway here, and that's why they made essentially no changes for this race.
I was talking to one of Rick Crawford's crew members, Gator, earlier before, after they had done some of the practice work. They had gone over 50 laps of practice, and he said, you know, our tires are only about halfway worn down, so we're not wearing down our tires that much.
And David Ruderman just ran one of his fastest laps of the race with 78 laps on his tires, so it's pretty impressive.
So David Ruderman, the impressive one out front, and it's a Ford that's behind him, and that's Todd Cleaver, because Ford has not won a race in 2005. Could it be Todd Cleaver claiming his first victory in the Truck Series and the first victory for Ford in 2005? Welcome back under the lights at Memphis Motorsports Park. This is the first night race ever at Memphis Motorsports Park, and it is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Enjoying it. David Ruderman out in front of Todd Cleaver.
Todd being able to stay within a couple truck lengths of David Ruderman. Hey, that team has really turned around. They switched crew chiefs within the Roush organization. Mike Bean came over to the 50 truck of Todd Cleaver. John Motz went over to the 99 of Ricky Craven. It really seemed to pay immediate dividends for the 50 of Todd Cleaver. He went first time out, finished second at Kansas and with a great run. Had a good run going last week, ended up losing a couple positions on a green-white checker finish. Ended up in a 12th position, but had a great run around the top 5 for a lot of the race.
Good side-by-side battle here. Ricky Craven on the outside of Jimmy Spencer, two veterans in the NASCAR world.
I talked to John Monson, who had worked with Ricky Craven before in the Busch Series back a number of years ago, and I said, how's it going? He said, it's really going good. We kind of had to get reacquainted because they've been apart for so long, but he said, I really think things are really going to turn around, and it looks like they have a pretty good truck going. They've made a lot of adjustments, had a little bit of damage on one of those earlier caution flags, but he's passing some good trucks right now and working his way up into the top 20.
Ricky Craven being shown in 19th position right now. Rick Crawford back in 20th. There's Dennis Setzer and Ted Musgrave. 1 and 2 in the points right now. Setzer trying to increase his lead in the point standings as Ted Musgrave's trying to close that gap a little bit.
Remember, Ted's one of the trucks that pitted back on lap number 34. He put tires on lap number 34. Look at all these trucks side by side. There's Jack Sprague, the 16 truck on the inside. Ty Bodine, the 30 right behind him as they work their way back.
Chase Montgomery.
And then Jack Sprague decides to jump on the outside of Jimmy Spencer in the 2 truck.
Side-by-side racing. Saw a spark out of underneath the 19 there, that bump.
Bad bump back there. You see the glowing brake rotors on the 16 truck of Jack Sprague. Use a lot of brakes entering the corners at both ends. Entering number 1 and entering number 3. See Chase Montgomery, the 18, look to the inside of Jimmy Spencer in the 2 truck.
Hey, Ray, are they having problems with that 16 in the brakes?
Well, he's just really, really tight is his biggest problem, Rick, and they don't know for sure why it's so bad because he was really good in practice today. Sprague thought for sure he was going to have a shot at the pole here. He's driving a chassis they call number 39, and he's had 2 second-place finishes with it this year, and he won with that same truck at Mansfield last year. So on a short track, they're always really good with truck number 39, and Sprague just can't quite figure out why they're so tight. They're going to work on it here the next pit stop, but he's very surprised to be back in 25th.
You see that brake rotor glowing, and when your truck is tight like his is, he's going to use a little bit more brake to try to keep that truck from sliding up the racetrack in the center of the corner. He needs to save a little bit of brakes if he can. Right now he's running pretty much by himself. He's got some traffic. He's got Ricky Craven a couple truck lengths in front of him, but he doesn't want to use those brakes up.
And that usually compounds the problem too, because using the brakes builds more heat and builds more air pressure in the front.
Here's the front. That's David Rudeman looking back at Todd Cleaver, and it looks as though Todd Cleaver has decided, I'd like a taste of the top spot, and maybe I'll take it away from you, David.
Remember, these 2 trucks right here, along with that 3rd-place truck of Dennis Spencer, have not pitted in this race. We're 92 laps into this thing. They've got maybe 20, 30 more laps of fuel in these trucks, and then they will have to be on pit road. So they're hoping for a caution flag anytime now because they're in their window. They all could make it on one more pit stop. So they would love to see a caution flag right now, and David Rudeman has got a miracle of Todd Cleaver.
Well, it looked as though Todd Cleaver was going to move David Rudeman out of the way there. He's coming into the corners a little bit harder than David is, and he got almost on the inside of David that last time through, and now we see Dennis Spencer getting into the mix.
Well, I like that move Dennis Spencer just made. He was able to keep his truck a little bit lower than Todd Cleaver. He didn't have to use quite as much of the racetrack as Todd Cleaver. He wasn't able to make the pass, but if he keep that little tight line coming off the corner, not have to use that entire racetrack, then that could bode well for him later on.
And we see in 4th the 1 of Ted Musgrave, and so our top 4 is just extremely tight. You can throw a blanket over the 4 trucks right now that are up front. David Rudeman has a mirror full, as you said, of Todd Cleaver. Wendy, how's he doing up front?
He is doing pretty well. He has no forward fight, he says, but what's interesting about David Rudeman, the last 2 races, at Kansas he finished 3rd, and Kentucky he finished 3rd, and at both of those tracks he had never led. Now he led at Kansas, he led at Kentucky. We came here to Memphis. Guess what? He had never led here at Memphis until tonight. So David Rudeman has definitely been on the roll of leading laps and finishing up front. Fortunately, hopefully that will happen again tonight, Ray?
Hey, Wendy, I did some digging through the statistics here to try to find out which team has performed the very best here at Memphis. And guess what? It's that truck right there. The 50 team has an average finish of 8.85 here. They've been the very best team overall. Remember, Greg Biffle won here and finished 2nd. John Wood had a couple of good top 10s here in the last few races. The 50, the very best team. Now, the guy that's right behind this group, the number 46, the driver, has the best average finish of drivers. But when it comes to teams, it was all about the 50.
Well, the one thing David Rudeman wants right now is a caution. I think he's used up his tires, and he definitely wants to pit now.
Yeah, there's Dennis Spencer. As Ray mentioned, he's been here 6 times, Boris. He's never finished out of the top 5. 5th is his worst finish. His average finish here is 3.5, and he gets a little bit sideways coming off turn number 2.
I tell you what, Ray Dunlap is on his stats. I was ready to jump on him as far as he was talking about how that team was the best finish and everything, and he jumped right in with the Dennis Spencer stat. Very impressive performances for Dennis Spencer at this track. We'll see if he's able to hold on to that impressive average finish, if he can get by the man who's up front. That is David Rudeman. Speed Channel. Check out NASCAR Beyond the Wheel, the further inside a race team than you've ever been before. Hear the drivers and the crews as they work through adversity, strategize their moves, and head ultimately to victory lane. NASCAR Beyond the Wheel, Thursday nights at 7:30 Eastern, only on Speed Channel.
What a great crowd on hand here. There's our leader, David Ruderman. He had a moment here a couple laps ago while we were away at commercial. He drove down in turn number 1 and got big time sideways. Let's take a look. This is him going by the start-finish line. Watch him drive down in turn number 1. You see how much of a lead he's got. He's going to get big time sideways. You see him correct. You see him fighting the steering wheel. You see the wheels turn left and then right. And he straightens it out. And look who's running second now. Brandon Witt, our early leader, has driven past Dennis Setzer, driven past Todd Cleaver into the second position.
And I don't think he's worried about his back problem or how hot the truck is right now, because now he can see daylight. Even though now, halfway through the race, it's finally nighttime, and I'm sure the drivers are feeling pretty good about that. It's got to be a little bit cooler.
Todd Cleaver was right behind David Ruderman, but now he's dropped back behind the 38 of Brandon Witt. What's going on with Todd Cleaver, Ray?
Here's the problem, Rick. They only have 2 more laps before they're going to be forced to pit under green. They have to come to pit road at lap 110. So just 2 more laps, and here goes a move for the lead as Brandon Witt goes out to the front, but only 1 more lap before we'll see the 50 have to come on under green.
Right behind that group, you can see John Andretti. He's come from nowhere, and now he's challenging Ron Hornaday.
We see the 50 of Todd Cleaver going to have to make a green flag pit stop. This will be possibly the death of the 50 team right here.
Ruin his day. He's probably going to end up with at least 2 laps down after this pit stop. What a horrible break for this team. But David Ruderman is in a very similar situation. He's got a few more laps to go, Ray, doesn't he?
I think so, Phil. I got to believe they're in that same situation, but they knew that this Ford wasn't going to make it more than 1 more or 2 more laps. So Mike Beam says, let's not take a chance of running out of coming just past the pit road. So these guys will go ahead and throw 4 tires and gas in this thing. No major adjustment needed here. Looks like they are going to go down on the track bar about 1 round. So 1 round down, that'll be the adjustment for him. And they'll try to tighten him up just a little bit, but you're right, he's going to lose a couple of laps at least here by doing this under green. And I would keep our eye on the 17. Wendy, when's he coming?
The 17 of David Ruderman looks like he will be coming at lap 125. He has about 13 more laps, but the 46 truck, the only other truck on the track that has not pitted along with the 17, can only go to about 116, so about 4 or 5 more laps for the 46 of Dennis Setzer before he's on pit road as well.
I'm sure Todd Cleaver's kicking himself for not listening to his crew chief who wanted to pit a little earlier.
We got to spin. We got to spin in the front stretch.
And the caution will come out, and that is bad luck for Todd Cleaver, but great luck for the other trucks out in front.
Yeah, David Ruderman, the Dennis Setzer, what a tremendous break for those guys. But I tell you, we haven't talked for us about John Andretti. He's driven his way up into the 3rd position, giving that Billy Blue number 15 a great ride once again.
Yeah, he's running strong, and I'm sure now you're going to see all the leaders come in and make their last stop.
Now, Kelly Sutton spinning there will give Todd Cleaver more than likely 1 lap back, because he would be the highest scored truck that is at least a lap down. He fell 2 laps down. Now, Kelly Sutton was the one who brought out the caution, so she will not receive the free pass. So we'll have to wait and find out from NASCAR, but I believe Todd Cleaver may get 1 lap back.
I think if Kelly Sutton is the truck that's eligible, she cannot get it by virtue of the fact that she caused the caution, so they will not award a free pass, probably, is what's going to happen.
Todd's probably hoping for a 2-for-1 sale, maybe get 2 laps back. Well, how about, he was really strong.
Guys, how about Brandon Witt driving his way back up front in this race?
I mean, he's been strong all night from the beginning. I mean, on the pole and running at the front the whole night.
This is why we're under caution. Kelly Sutton, the 0-2. She gets a little bit loose off turn number 2. Moves to the inside of the racetrack. You see Steve Park, the 62 truck, going to go by her. And then she gets sideways coming off turn number 4. Not able to save it this time. Makes her way into the infield grass. I'm not sure she's going to hit anything. Nope, does a great job staying off the inside wall, but that did necessitate a caution flag. But this is going to be a big pit stop. You see David Ruderman's crew getting ready. This could be the final pit stop for a lot of these guys.
It's going to be a busy pit road this time.
We see the 38 of Brandon Witt out in front. He's on the access road, as is the 17 of David Ruderman. Right behind them, the 15 of John Andretti, the 6 of Ron Hornaday, and the 46 of Dennis Setzer.
And the 14 stayed out. That's unusual. Rick Crawford, he's gambling.
Wendy.
The 46 says Dennis Setzer will be our first truck down pit road. What perfect timing for that. Now, they have been running hot, so he was very adamant. Dennis Setzer was about pulling tape on that and also making a chassis adjustment on the 46 as we come to David Ruderman in the 17. He's also complaining no forward bite, no side bite, only going down on air pressure. Looks like a pretty good stop for the 17 bunch, Ray.
Hey, Wendy, they feed in a couple of bags of ice here for Brandon Witt to throw down behind him in the chair. And they're going to come around and do 4 tires. Now, this will be their final pit stop of the day for the McMillan Homes Toyota. They go to work on it here on the left side. They do have the very first pit stall. David Rudeman will go by the number 38, but he'll roll off second.
Phil, one of the guys that did come in that Boris made the comment about is the 14 of Rick Crawford. Will they gamble and try to stay on for the remainder of this race?
I have to believe that they are. Cowboy Starling decided to roll the dice. They pitted on lap 71. That means he had to run 129 laps. Now, some of those laps are going to be under caution, just like this caution right here. Then a few laps after he pitted will run under caution. So they may feel like their fuel mileage is good enough that they can go the rest of the way, and they certainly have track position right now.
Well, we've seen Fords that normally had been running better gas mileage or better mileage as far as getting around the racetrack than most of the other manufacturers. But then you look at Todd Cleaver. Cleaver had to come in on lap 110 because they thought he had poor gas mileage.
Most of that good gas mileage was last year when they had a different cylinder head. When they brought this new cylinder head, they make more power. When you make power, it takes something to have to burn that power, make that power, and that's fuel.
It's going to be interesting to see if Todd Cleaver can get one more lap back here as he lines up right next to Rick Crawford.
Tomorrow night on Speed Channel, Dave Despain welcomes Beth Ann Morgenthau to the tunnel. Miss Morgenthau, owner of BAM Racing, shares her thoughts about the role of women in motorsports. Ownership to drivers to crew members. Wind Tunnel live tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed Channel.
Beth Ann's a nice lady. At the Nextel Cup races, she always has the big cooler of ice cream in her trailer, so she's pretty popular.
Well, Schwann's is always a popular, I guess, site.
They make a good neighborhood sandwich.
Yes, they do.
Could use one now.
It's very, very warm here in Memphis, and it's just heating up for Rick Crawford, who is now out in front of this field.
I don't think Todd Cleaver is going to make it easy, and right now he's on the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, he's actually now on the tail end. He's still 1 lap down, almost 2 laps down, because he did not get the free pass, just as we speculated. Kelly Sutton is 0-2. Trouble for Ted Musgrave coming off the corner.
Slow down the back stretch. Ted Musgrave dropping numerous positions. He's now on the outside of the 5. Let's see what's going on with Ted Musgrave as the field continues to move by him.
There's the 16 of Jack Sprague, the 23 of Johnny Benson as they move by on the inside. Looks like Ted's getting maybe back up to speed right now. It looks like he's really off in the corners. Maybe he may have a soft tire. Maybe he has some debris on his tires.
Looks like the right front might be down.
And now up front,
David Rudeman drives back to the 2nd position, and here comes Brandon Witt.
Brandon Witt's had a strong truck all evening. He's back up to 3rd. It's Rick Crawford, David Rudeman, Brandon Witt, your top 3.
John Andretti, a great run going. Here's a 50 truck on the inside of the 29 of Brad Keselowski. That's a battle for position. Brad Keselowski has a great run going so far on the lead lap.
He snuck up there in stealth mode. I didn't even notice him get up there.
Here comes Dennis Setzer trying to take over the, looks like I think the 6th position from the 29 of Brad Keselowski.
And again, out there in no man's land, when you get on the outside on this track, they just train right by you on the inside. Holding on to the top spot, Rick Crawford making some, I guess you would say, a little bit controversial pit decisions. Can they make it 129 laps on 1 tank of fuel? We'll find out when we come back.
Wednesday night on Speed, old school racing is back. Pinks.
This is a pretty quick car. That nitrous, it sure does even the playing field a lot. Let's race.
Lose the race, lose your ride. Pinks, Wednesday night at 8:30, only on Speed.
Dear Daryl, you've become quite the famous entertainer. You're not going Hollywood on us, are you? Might be cold,
No, not this year.
Sincerely, Darrell Waltrip. Toyota, moving forward.
stars in a whole new light. Full line of Star motorcycles. Available only at your Yamaha dealer.
It comes to the internet, speed changes everything. Only Comcast high-speed internet provides speeds up to 70 times faster than 56K dial-up. With an always-on connection, there's never a wait to get online. With Comcast, personalize your emails with Video Mail, share photos online with Photo Show, and get your online music connection with Rhapsody. Dial-up can't do that. For a limited time, get your first 3 months for just $9.95 a month. Don't waste time with dial-up. Get up to speed with Comcast high-speed internet. Call 637-5411 today.
Each room in your home is unique with its own individual style. So when it's time to buy furniture, you're going to need selection. Winter Furniture has what you're looking for. Dining rooms for family meals or entertaining friends. Everything for your family room where you go to relax. And of course, we all need comfortable bedroom furniture. All available in the name brands you know and trust. So if you're looking for extraordinary furniture and a whole lot more, visit Winter Furniture today.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel is brought to you by Chevy. The new Chevrolet is an American revolution. And by Domino's Pizza. Get the door. It's Domino's, the official pizza of NASCAR. Up front, that is the familiar sight of David Rudiman, who has taken away the top spot.
Here's how it happened. Rick Crawford had our lead by virtue of pit strategy, but David Rudiman was able to catch him. Makes the move inside, coming off turn number 4, drives up beside him, beats him down in turn number 1. He's going to bring a couple guys with him. There's the 38 of Brandon Witt, the 6th of Ron Hornaday. Another lead change. Ron Hornaday goes to the lead. Hornaday taking away the top spot from David Rudiman, and now Brandon Witt looking to the inside of the 17 of David Rudiman. Ron Hornaday's trying to get back that sure win he had at Mansfield earlier this year when he got black flags for jumping the restart. Also had a couple situations on pit road that took him out of what looked like sure wins. Got a great battle side by side for the 4th position. There's the 15 of John Andretti. He drives by the 14 of Rick Crawford, brings the 46 of Dennis Setzer with him. For Rick Crawford, after restarting up front because of pit strategy, may not be working out as well as that team had hoped. It's Ron Hornaday that's out in front of this field. He'd like to repeat his Atlanta win from earlier.
The Ford Motor Company invites you to join the Ford Family Plan. Now pay the same low price as our employees and their families pay for our great family of SUVs. You'll get our discounts on every Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury at participating dealerships.
Welcome back to the O'Reilly 200 on Speed Channel. We're under the lights, but also the yellow flashing lights as the 7th caution of the night has come out at Memphis Motorsports Park.
We saw Ted Musgrave slow down on the last restart. There he is back on the racetrack right now. Ted had a right front tire. Let's see if we can see what happened. See him drive all the way to the outside wall. The tire went flat as he went down the corner. Keeps it out of the outside wall, but he stays on the racetrack to try to stay on the lead lap, unlike we saw Johnny Benson do earlier. And he does stay on the lead lap, but you see all the debris coming out of this truck here. Watch right behind the right front tire. You're going to see something pop out there. It's knocking crush panels out and everything else. But
dragging the sway bars.
But he was able to stay on the lead lap. Rick Crawford's in the pits, Ray.
Hey, Phil, here's what I wonder. There's still almost 70 laps to go, 65 or more laps. Will this be the break that Rick Crawford needs? Will he'll get the fresh tires? Will that be enough? I know he's got a long way to go through the field here, but he had gambled earlier and tried to stay out. That didn't work out. The guys with fresher tires came right by him. So will this be enough of an advantage for Crawford? They've got the fuel in it, and Crawford will go back to the racetrack here. Is that going to be any difference?
Out in front, it is Ron Hornaday in the Goodwrench Chevrolet number 6. Hornaday looking for his 2nd win in 2005. We'll see if it comes at the O'Reilly 200. Welcome back to Memphis, Tennessee, the home of Graceland and Elvis, king of rock and roll, and also extremely hot weather at Memphis Motorsports Park.
You know, Ray asked when Rick Crawford was in the pits, we've got 60-some laps to go. Was that going to be enough time? Obviously, I think Cowboy did a great job. His strategy of staying out and trying to run 130 laps didn't work because he was passed. Now, if he had a fast enough truck, he could have driven off from him. That's a different thing. But I don't think there's enough time because these tires are staying good. They're running good lap times, and I don't think we're going to. He's running 24th right now. He's going to restart the race 24th. He's not going to have enough time to pass all these trucks for us.
Well, it's interesting to see if Ron Hornaday really takes a slow start here after the last time in Mansfield. He got penalized for jumping the start. Not this time. It was very late going.
You notice the 50 truck Todd Cleaver started on the inside. He was able to get one lap back because he passed our leader, Rick Crawford, and drove away. So he is now only one lap down. And right now the truck eligible for the free pass if the caution were to come out again and he would get back in contention in this race. But he would be fighting the same thing, Rick Crawford, if he does get that lap back. Bad track position.
Very little time left. And now he's in the middle between Brandon Witt. And that's going to, I'm sure Brandon Witt wants by.
Yeah, Boris, and the reason that the top Cleaver got into this position is because of fuel mileage. They were trying to stay out and gambling, and then around the lap 110, they weren't able to go any further, so they had to make a green flag pit stop, which was really the kiss of death for Todd Cleaver.
He lost 2 laps, was able to make one of those laps back up. You see Bobby Hamilton go way to the inside to try to make the move around Matt Crash in the 88 truck.
He makes that pass. Terry Cook just in front of Bobby Hamilton now, and then that's the 30 of Todd Bodine on the inside of the 88 now.
And Todd Bodine's come back strong since his truck stalled on the front straightaway. He was all the way at the tail end of the longest line.
That was 60 laps to... Sorry about that. We've got 60 to go as Ron Hornaday holding on to the top spot. It's David Rubin in second, Brandon Witt third. Trouble. Terry Cook spins. Terry Cook all the way around, and the caution will come out again. That is the 8th caution.
And that will give Todd Cleaver the free pass, put him back on the lead lap here with about 50-some laps to go when we restart this race.
And so the 10 of Terry Cook gets spun around and brings out her 8th caution of the night for the O'Reilly 200. Ron Hornaday still out front.
Click on auto.
You know, one of the things that really makes me hot, when I've got my tools ready to go to work and I'm walking along and all of a sudden I'm unplugged. Man, I wish somebody would come up with a better idea. And guess what? Craftsman has. Now check this out. All the time, whenever I have my tools come unplugged, I say, I wish there was something better. Now there is. When I go to put this in, you'll notice it won't enter because I didn't push the button down. But when I push the button down, it goes in, and now there's no way that tool is going to come out. Now this cord is really great because it's chemical and oil resistant, but what I love is it stays flexible no matter what, all the way down to 67 degrees below. But the most important thing is when you go to work, you know your Craftsman tool is going to have power.
Green flag flies. We're back to racing at Memphis Motorsports Park. That's Ron Hornaday out in front on lap 145. That means we have just over 50 laps remaining in this race.
Great restart for Brendan Gaughan, the 77 Jasper truck. He jumped to the outside of Robert Huffman, was able to make the pass. Now he's looking to the outside of the 77 of David Starr.
75 of David Starr. Brendan Gaughan in that 77 trying to make the move.
Well, he got real loose coming up off the corner. Brendan Gaughan looks like he just got in the wall the tiniest bit.
Looks like Bobby Hamilton was able to make his way by the 12 of Robert Huffman. That moves him up into the 8th position.
And there he is sliding up to the wall just outside the groove, and I think he just might have missed it. So that's as close as you can get without hitting that
He may have kissed that wall just a little bit.
Just a whole little bit. Todd Bodine's on the move.
Jack Sprague and Todd Bodine side by side, racing for position at the battle for 11th. What's going on with Todd, Wendy?
Todd's had all kinds of problems throughout the night that he's actually overcome. At first, throughout the night, you saw him stopped on the backside of pit road. It's as we see him get a little bit loose right behind Jack Sprague. Timothy Peters has problems on the track.
And so our 9th caution of the night has come out as the Bailey's number 4 gets spun around. He'll go the wrong way down the track, but he's doing that so that he can possibly make it down pit road. He doesn't look like he's going to take that option, though.
He wants to stay on the racetrack and stay on the lead lap, which he's been able to. There's a little bit of damage to both sides. Todd Bodine had a bit of a moment here a lap or so ago. We saw him get out of shape. The 30 truck of Todd Bodine. Watch the 60 truck of Chad Chaffin. He's going to drive down the corner. He goes to the inside. Todd comes down, doesn't know he's there. They make a little contact. A great save by Todd, but loses a couple positions in the process. Take a look at your left. See the 4 truck of Timothy Peters. He was side by side with the 8 of Deborah Renshaw. Looked like he might have had a soft tire or something, because his truck looked like it was going along perfectly straight, and then all of a sudden swapped ends.
He was also a little bit up out of the groove too, where he was. I'll tell you, someone too to keep looking at is Todd Cleaver. I mean, 2 laps, he passed 4 guys already, back in 26th place all the way. He's got a fast truck.
Some of these trucks are beginning to look a little bit like we are short track racing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Some damage with some of the trucks on the track, but a great crowd here on hand to watch. Craftsman and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series are betting on a royal flush by offering a special 10-year anniversary toolbox poker chip set. Betting on the recent explosion in the popularity of poker, Sears is offering a free toolbox poker chip set to all customers when they purchase a Craftsman Mechanics tool set of $299 or more from July 24th to August 14th. Boris, you were just talking that that's been a pretty popular gift.
Yeah, last year that was one of the most popular Christmas gifts for young men in the 2004 Christmas season. There's a little useful information I have.
That's a great tidbit, and all you have to do is stop by one of the Sears stores that offers Craftsman tools, and it's a perfect gift that accessorizes your mechanics tool set.
What a great crowd on hand here, and they've seen John Andretti, the 15 truck, have a great run. You see the Juice Plus right there. The Memphis Tourism Board is on board also. Billy Ballou has had, 7 or 8 different drivers this year. He's in the top 5 of owner points. And John Andretti had a great run, a top 10 finish at Kansas. His first time ever in a Craftsman truck. And he's got a terrific run going here. Driven his way all the way up into the top 5 for us.
And he came from 28th place, and he doesn't have 1 scratch on his truck. That's pretty unusual, so he's done a great job.
Wendy, what's going on with Todd Bodine?
Well, during all that excitement, we mentioned that Timothy Peters hit the wall. He did report of a real bad vibration before he hit that wall. And what we were trying to tell you about Todd Bodine in the 30, he's had all kinds of problems. First, he accidentally hit his kill switch, so he had to go to his backup once he hit that kill switch. And then on pit road, he had some more problems. A lug nut got stuck in the caliper as we go green. So Todd Bodine fighting back from lots of problems here today.
Under 50 laps of racing remaining at Memphis. Short track racing for the Truck Series.
Look at David Starr. What a great move to the inside of Dennis Setzer. Dennis has been a little slow on the last couple of restarts. There's some contact there. David Starr going for the 5th position.
Side by side. David Starr not giving up the position on the inside, and Dennis Setzer driving away from him on the outside.
Yeah, Dennis has been a little slow on the last couple of restarts, I've noticed. David Starr tried to take advantage that time, drove to the inside, couldn't quite make the pass work.
Very conservative restart by Ron Hornaday. Definitely doesn't want to do anything to jinx his first win, huh?
Second win of the season, hopefully, for Ron Hornaday. Problems with the 12 of Robert Huffman. Look at the damage to the front left of that truck.
Horrible break for Robert Huffman. He was in the top 10. He was the top 10th position last time by. A lot of damage there. You see to the right front, also the front of the truck. His Toyota has a lot of damage. You see the left front, quite a bit of damage also.
Kind of looks like the truck I gave Rick Crawford back after Kentucky.
Oh, no, it wasn't that bad. So Robert Huffman having problems at 154 laps into this race. We're under 50. We'll find out who's going to claim the top spot when we come back.
They're nearest you.
Under the lights for the first time in Memphis, Tennessee, in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series O'Reilly 200, getting close to conclusion. Out front of this field is Ron Hornaday.
I'll tell you, the race fans have really come out to support this night race in Memphis. This is by far the best crowd we've ever had for a truck race. I've been here for the last 4 races prior to this year, and this crowd, I guarantee, is at least 40-50% bigger than any other crowd we've ever had here.
Great crowd on hand to watch Ron Hornaday somewhat dominate the latter end of this race. We'll see if he's got what it takes. Ray, do you think he's got it all the way to the end?
Well, he should, Rick. And, of course, this team knows for sure that they've had 3 or 4 of them get away from him this year. Rogers was on the radio talking to Hornaday, and he said, "How's your truck?" Hornaday said, "It's pretty good, but it feels like my lap times have dropped off a little bit." And Wally said, "Well, let me give you a little math lesson. If you run really fast laps, that way this race will get over quicker, and we can go to victory lane and get you a cold drink." So he said, just run fast laps, and you won't have to worry about it.
Our next racetrack will be another short track race. That's IRP. Racing continues the oval track. That's race 15 of 25. Last year it was Chad Chaffin who was able to claim the top spot. It will be the Power Stroke Diesel 200. We'll see if Ford could get a victory there for Terry Cook.
Always exciting races. Always exciting races at IRP.
That's Friday, August 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on Speed Channel.
The 46F Dennis Setzer has been complaining that the changes they made on the stop didn't really help. He's been tight early through the center. Crew Chief Eric Phillips just told him that to save your stuff, do what you can with what you have. The same reports coming from David Rudiman. He's been free, though, and the changes that they made on their pit stop also did not help all that much. So the 17 and the 46 are going to have to deal with what they have. And Ray, what do you have on your end of pit road?
Well, Wendy, I want to add on the 38 of Brandon Witt. I'll tell you what, this kid has really done a great job winning the pole tonight. They've run up front most of the day, but I'll tell you, it's agonizing listening to him on the radio right now because he is really in some very serious pain from that heat I told you about earlier in his seat. His seat is literally just about on fire. They gave him a bag of ice, but as you guys in the booth can attest to, sometimes that's not always so great because once that ice melts, you've just got a wet seat, and he is really, really in bad shape. I will not be surprised if Brandon Witt needs some emergency medical attention when this race is over, but what a great job he's doing hanging in there in third.
Ray, you're exactly right, because I tell you, once, if your seat starts burning you or the floor starts burning your feet, there's nothing you can do about it, because that seat is built for Brandon Witt. It fits around him, Brandon Witt. He cannot move anywhere. As Ray mentioned, you put ice down your back. Well, eventually that's going to melt and it turns into steam, which makes things worse. It's very temporary relief. So I'm sure Brandon Witt right now is in agonizing pain, but he's got such a good truck. He's got such a great run going that he doesn't want to give it up. We've only got 40-some laps to go, but we saw Ricky Rudd win a race back in Martinsville, and he had to pretty much be taken out on a stretcher after that race for the same situation. But you see, there's the seat. You see the headrest right around David Rudiman. So these seats are custom built for all these drivers. There's not any extra room. You cannot move around, slide around to try to get a different position. You're where you are when you start the race.
And the worst thing you can do when you have a hot seat, you think you want to pour water down your back, but it's the worst thing you can do because that water just boils. You see your butt's like bacon, just burning in the seat. But the hardest time is under yellow. Once they go green, I don't think he'll think about it anymore. And there's only 40 laps to go, and he's got a fast truck, and he'll be fine.
We say that now. We hope he's fine, as Brandon Witt holding on to the third spot. It's Ron Hornaday, the master of restarts, taking off as the green flag flies. Oh, something on the David Rudiman. Problems with the 17 of David Rudiman not coming up to speed very quickly.
It looked like he might have missed a gear or something.
Sure did look like he missed a gear because he's back up to speed now, but that allowed Brandon Witt to get by and take over the second position.
Jack Sprague possibly having the same problems as he was backing up the rest of this field. Todd Bodine and Chad Chaffin and Johnny Benson all stuck behind the 16 of Jack Sprague, who slowed down on the restart.
Saw Steve Park on the outside. A lot of trucks right in a big wad here, right coming down the front stretch.
Sure enough, we're hearing that the 17 missed the shift. That allowed Brandon Witt to make the pass on him, take over second.
Oh, somebody makes some contact with the outside wall. Trouble on the backstretch.
They keep going around.
That's 47. 50 did a good job missing it.
Eric Almirola.
Is that Mike Skinner? Like
yeah,
Mike Skinner's
a lot of damage on Mike Skinner. He had such a great stretch of races going here. Mike Skinner's been in the top 4 of the last 5 races, but he's obviously going to have to make a pit stop. You see he's got some damage to the right side. A lot of damage to the 47 truck, as you mentioned. Mike Skinner's going to have to make a pit stop for a flat right front tire.
But one thing we haven't mentioned tonight, for the first time they've run under the lights here. I mean, these are temporary lights. There's 9 trucks with these, telescopic poles, and I mean, it looks lit as good as any track with lights that are there, in
a permanent basis.
Some people asked if there might be some problems with these lights because they've never run on them before. I said, these people know what they're doing. Let's see if we can take a look at what caused that accident on the backstretch. They had a big wad of trucks. We saw them on the front stretch. See if we can see what happened on the backstretch. The 47 got a little bit sideways, made some contact with the outside wall. Then he came off the wall, and the 5 truck of Mike Skinner had nowhere to go, made some contact with him. That could have been a lot more serious incident with a lot more trucks involved. There you see Ted Musgrave made some contact as the 47 hit the wall, and he bounced off into the 5 truck of Mike Skinner. I think that may have been all the trucks that were involved. You see Todd Cleaver do a good job getting by on the inside.
Yeah, I think you can see Ted Musgrave was trying to get around the 2, and he didn't even realize that he checked up and just got into the back room a little bit when he got in the wall.
Well, this is a record-setting day as far as the first ever night race at Memphis Motorsports Park. And I hate to say it, but if we get one more caution, it will also tie the record for most cautions ever at Memphis Motorsports Park. This is the 11th caution of the night. Those involved, the 47 of Eric Almirola and the 5 of Mike Skinner. Truck Series on Speed Channel is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. We have switched from yellow conditions as far as yellow flag or caution to red flag conditions. And that being the reason we're going to help out the drivers a little bit, or NASCAR will.
Yeah, Wayne Auten, the series director, told us that by virtue of last week at Loudon, the Busch race Saturday I was watching, Jamie McMurray after the race said he really got overheated. They had a red flag with about 12 laps to go. So NASCAR said, we've decided that we will give these drivers, if we have a red flag and when it's very, very hot, until the end of August, at least right now, that we will give the drivers something to drink. If they stopped in the front stretch, then they would allow their crews to come out and give their drivers something to drink. But they stopped in the backstretch, so NASCAR and the safety workers are giving every driver something to drink if they want something. Just another safety issue that NASCAR is addressing.
Yeah, Daytona this year in the Busch race at night, they had a red flag, and there was actually one driver that had to be taken out of his car during the red flag. He just got so heat-soaked.
And so the drivers have been given that either bottle of water or other supplemental drink that they've been looking for. Well, the Toyota Spotlight lets us take a closer look at where tonight's field of Toyota Tundras are currently running. Brandon Witt with a very impressive performance tonight, started on the pole, currently in second.
Yeah, David Ruderman, also a great run, led a lot of this race. He's in the 3rd position. Then those are the only 2 Toyotas right now in the top 10, but you've got several in the top 15 with Todd Bodine, Chad Chaffin, Johnny Benson, and Mike Skinner. But we know Mike Skinner's going to have to make a pit stop because he does have some damage and a flat right front tire.
A lot of damage, as you can see some of these trucks taking on as we get back to the roots of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, short track racing. This 3/4 mile track in Memphis, tough one to try to tame.
Looks like they're going to pull the 5 truck of Mike Skinner behind the wall. They're not allowed to work on these trucks on a red flag situation, so the fact that they're moving it behind the wall means this may be terminal for Mike Skinner. If not, then they will certainly have a lot of work to do to the truck, but they're not able to do the work on it until the red flag is put away and the yellow flag comes back out.
Disappointing night for Mike Skinner. Looking for that somewhat breakthrough performance. He's run so well during the year and has never been able to find victory lane at the end of races. He's been in contention to win, but just hasn't been able to finish it off. And as we looked at moment 12 earlier in the show, Mike Skinner was just sliding across the start-finish line sideways just behind the 4 of Bobby Hamilton in that race in Atlanta a year ago, still struggling to get that first win since he's come back.
See David Ruderman trying his best to cool off. You see him unzipping his uniform. One of the safety workers gave him a bag of ice, and he's going to try to shove that in his uniform. He had He had wet towels that he put on his neck. They're doing everything they can do. You see Dennis Setzer, he's a pretty cool customer. He's actually taken his helmet off, raised it up on top of his head to try to get a little bit more air. Because right now, there's obviously no air stirring around on these trucks, Boris.
Yeah, this is the worst time to be in one of these trucks. When you're moving, it's not so bad because you got some airflow. But when you're stopped, I mean, these trucks are 130, 40 degrees, and they're just heat soaked, and it feels like you're sitting in a toaster oven. And stuff like this leads to mistakes. Maybe that's something what happened, in the last restart when David Rudiman missed a gear. You're just so hot, and you don't have your concentration.
You see one of the cooling pipes right there that are going to the chest of David Rudiman.
There's David Starr right there, the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. There's David Rudiman. Let's see if we can talk to David. We should have some radio contact. David Rudiman, Phil Parsons, can you hear me? David, looks like you're trying to cool yourself off there. I know you've had a great truck all night. You're in the third position, but we were just talking a few minutes ago. When you stop these trucks, no air circulating. It's got to be pretty hot in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all right. It's just you get an opportunity to cool down. But you're right. You know when I'm going through here, Phil. You've been in this field several times yourself. It's hot, but I mean, that's what I signed up for.
What happened on that last restart, David?
It hung between second and third there. I don't know exactly. Hadn't had any problems with it all night, but couldn't get it to go to third. Just had to snatch back to fourth. But I tell you, I can't say enough for these NGM bearing team. They're Walsh Motorsport Station over 3 to give me a great truck here. See if we need a little bit of green here to see if we can get back by these guys.
That 6 truck of Ron Hornaday looked pretty strong. Do you feel like you had something for him?
Well, I don't know. He's pretty good, but I feel like if we can get some green, we can get our tires built up and stuff. I'm having to wait on it some now, and it hurts pretty bad. But he is pretty quick, so I don't know. It's going to be tough. We just go a little on. I'm blessed to be where I'm at right now, and see if we keep moving forward.
All right, buddy. Finish this thing off and get a good finish.
Yeah, thanks.
There's that replay we were talking about. You heard David say it hung between second and third gear. There's second gear right now. He takes off, and then when he tries to go to third gear, the transmission hangs. It allows Brandon Witt to get to the inside and take over the second position. Let's listen to Brandon Witt, see what he went through right here. I mean, David Rudiman, I'm sorry. You heard him rev probably about 9,500 RPMs, and the thing would not come out of second gear.
Well, it looked like he came out. He just didn't get into third, and he decided, all right, I'll go to fourth. And he didn't have the revs up, and the motor was pretty bogged down. That's why those guys went by him. I mean, that's a pretty common mistake.
Wendy standing by with Jason Overstreet.
Jason and I are sitting on top of the pit box. Jason, knowing the heat index, as he talks to Bobby Kennedy, knowing the heat index was 115 here in Memphis, how did you prepare David's truck any differently for tonight's hot race?
We just gave him a couple extra hoses and blowers, to a seat and to him, and make sure he's got a couple extra drink bottles in there with him.
Now, I heard David complaining that the truck wasn't rolling through the center how he wanted it to after that pit stop. Were the changes, did they not take exactly to the truck how you wanted?
We just went a little too aggressive on the changes there. We weren't that bad. We went a little too aggressive going for it, but they're starting to come in, and if we just get a green flag run, we're going to be okay.
What did you tell your driver when he missed that shift? How do you get him back to focus? We know DW's famous words, don't beat yourself up.
No, I just told him just to shake it off and go on, and it was bad stop, it happens, move on.
Okay, we're going to check in with our leaders, crew chief, Wally Rogers.
Well, Wendy, over all the years that I've been doing this, I really, truthfully, can't remember another day it's been any hotter than this. And, Wally, what's your driver saying out there? We've been hearing from a lot of guys that are really miserable in those race trucks.
He's not as miserable as he would be if he was running second right now, but he is pretty hot. We've been giving him bags of ice and feeding him Pedialyte pretty much all day, so just trying to keep him hydrated. It's a good thing they brought him some more water out there, because, it's stopping on the red right now. It's just killing them guys in there.
Tell me about your strategy tonight. Has things worked out the way you expected for in your pre-race plan?
Well, to be honestly, I don't really have much of a pre-race. Kind of got to pretty much wing it. And, I wanted to come in that first stop and make a little adjustment and get our stuff right, just to see if I was going to go the right way, and I guess I made the right call.
So far, it looks pretty good. These guys up front, and as I told you guys earlier, this team is very well aware of the number of races it's gotten away from them this year. And I'll tell you what, I think right now, if I was going to go down to Sam's Town and do some betting, I think I'd put my money on Hornaday.
So Hornaday quite possibly could take over and win this race, but he's running short on laps. He could make it up to be the lap leader. So far, Rudiman has led the most laps. Brandon Witt's led 53, just 5 short of Rudiman. And now Hornaday out in front continues to tack on to that 40 that he's already posted. We'll see if he can put the most laps led on the board tonight.
Rick, let's see if we can talk to Bobby Hamilton, our defending champion and defending winner of this race. Hey, Bobby, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
I got you, Bill.
Bobby, you're being shown right now in the 8th position. You have anything for these guys to move up?
I don't think so. I'm just doing good to hold on. I'm fighting the tight position and just need a good night for the Bailey's folks. You know, looking big picture here, so just need to see what we can get.
Bobby, obviously it's been really hot today and pretty hot tonight. How are you making it as far as the heat goes?
Not too bad. NASCAR's done extensive water out here, but I was pouring it down my left shoe because I'm burning my foot again. We never had that problem before, but we're having it now. So, but just reminds me of a 200-lapper at the old Nashville Fairgrounds. So, the place reminds me a lot of that. Actually, the way the grip goes away and stuff. So, we're just sitting out here seeing what we do. How you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good now. It's not as cool up here as it could be. It's about 85 degrees up here in the booth, so it's not like we're really in cool weather. But we were talking earlier that once you start burning your foot or something like that, there's nothing really you can do about it because it has to be where it's going to be. So you just have to live with it and take care of the blisters later, right?
Yeah, I mean it's got to be on the brake pedal if you're a two-footed driver. I can do both, but I can't stop right now and learn my rhythm, you know. I take time at Martinsville when I'm there to do it there and a few other places, but I don't know, not a bad day for having to go to the rear a couple times for overheating and stuff, so we're pretty happy with the trouble until we get here.
All right, Bobby, we appreciate it. Got about 35 laps to go. See if you can move that thing up a few more positions.
And Ray
all right, pal. You guys stay cool in 85.
Thank you.
Go up the line.
Thank you. Ray had mentioned this might be one of the hottest races he's ever experienced in his broadcasting days, and we want to say thank you and a great job to all the crew from the Speed Channel that have been working here diligently, not only all day, but they'll be working to tear down all their equipment this evening as this race concludes, and we will move on to IRP. So we want to thank all of the men and women working for Speed Channel tonight. They've done an excellent job. Ron Hornaday would love to close out this race out in front. A young man named Brandon Witt would like to put his truck out in front and get to victory lane, and all because he's had to suffer through a little bit of a heat condition today.
He sure has. And, you know, we talked a few moments ago that he got his best career finish a couple of weeks ago in Kentucky. That was his first career top 10 finish in the Truck Series, and here he is running second with about 35 laps to go. But I'm not thinking that he's happy right now running second. He's so close to the lead, he can taste it. He wants to get by Ron Hornaday. Chad Cheffet's got some trouble here. Looks like he may have an engine problem or maybe overheated while that thing was under red flag. But he's got a lot of damage. I think he ran into something here trying to get in line for the restart.
And so as Chad Chaffin makes his way down pit road, the green flag flies and we're back underway.
We saw David Rudiman try to protect the inside because he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get his truck from the 2-3 shift. He looked like he was able to. He didn't lose but a truck length or two to the second place trucker, Brandon Witt.
Dennis Setzer in 5th. Brendan Gaughan just behind him in 6th. David Starr is 7th. Bobby Hamilton 8th. Matt Kraft in 9th. And Jack Sprague in 10th.
Well, John Andretti sure is doing a good job. He's just been lurking back there in 4th. And to come in the series without really driving much is pretty amazing. He can run right up the front with all these good guys.
Looked like Ron Hornaday had a handful of steering wheel down there in that corner that allowed Brandon Witt to pull right up on his tailgate.
Brandon Witt looking for that first career win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He switched manufacturers this year. Started driving the Toyotas in 2005, and it has definitely worked out for him.
Sure has. He's been very, very fast in a number of races this year. Wasn't quite able to put the fast runs together with good finishes until the last time out of Kentucky with a great 6th place run, but he's got a terrific run going here.
On board with David Rudiman in that NTN Barron's Toyota Tundra. Looking.
Bobby Hamilton Hamlin trying to get a position on the 75 at David Starr. That's a battle for the 7th position. We heard Bobby tell us that he was just going to be happy with to try to save what he had, but he was trying to gain another spot.
I think he was playing a little poker with us.
There's no way you're going to believe that, Bobby.
Nose to tail now. David Starr was.
Remember, the 38 is eligible for the pole. The win from the pole bonus put up by Craftsman. What is it, 18 grand?
18,000. And problems with Ricky Craven. He gets into the turn 1 wall.
Yeah, a lot of damage here. Yeah, a lot of damage to the left front and the left rear. Looks like he may have spun around and caught the wall driver's side. Look how that rear of that truck is pulled around to the right side. See the obviously busted the radiator. You see all the water pouring out or down the racetrack. Safety workers right there. Very quickly. You see Ricky moving around a little bit inside the truck. That's a good sign.
Fluid coming out down on the track. A lot of damage to that 99 Ford.
When he went in really straight into the Memphis side.
Yeah, that team has made it. I think he has the record for the most pit stops tonight. It looked like he pitted about twice on every caution flag. They continue to try to work on that truck, trying to make it better and better and better.
The helmet has just come off.
We're getting a report that maybe he cut a tire down. Let's see if we can take a look and see if we can determine what happened. You see him on the outside right there. Well, he got a little bit loose getting in the corner. If a tire went down, more than likely it was a rear tire, right, Boris?
Yeah, the left rear looks up, though. It doesn't look like a tire went down. It looked like it just got a little loose and overcorrected, and that's a bad way to hit the wall driver's side. Looks like he's getting out.
Yeah, great sign to see Ricky get out of that truck. Pretty hard hit, though.
Getting out of the truck under his own power.
You hit the wall that hard, and it's going to knock the wind out of you at the very least. Plus, you know, again, these drivers have been in 140-degree conditions for a couple hours now. So even though they had that red flag, that was not a relief for them because it probably got hotter.
Yeah, I don't like the red flag idea. For me as a driver, I'd just rather run under green. But when you're concentrating, you're really driving hard. You just don't think about the heat. When you're sitting there with nothing to do, then that's when it really starts to bother you.
Guys, let's take a look at this in real time. We won't slow it down for you. And this, again, coming down the front stretch and getting into turn 1.
Remember, about 130 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway. It looked like his truck got a little bit sideways, and then it looked like, as you mentioned, Boris, he overcorrected and the thing swung around and made some pretty hard contact with the outside wall. But again, 130 miles an hour at the end of that straightaway, that's a pretty hard hit.
Yeah, there were some sparks, though, just as it got loose, so maybe something did break in the back.
There's a bad bump there, too, so a lot of these trucks, when you drive over that bump getting down in turn number 1, it upsets the truck. Wendy?
We saw Ricky Craven squat down. I'm sure he is just wore out, and I just wanted to report on some of the drivers that have been brought in already that they're out of the race. Robert Huffman crashed, and he was taken to the infield care center, and he was treated for heat exhaustion. He's in the infield care center right now, still getting an IV. Also, Eric Almarillo is still in the infield care center. He had burns on his feet just from the heat, nothing from the wreck, just heat exhaustion from him as well. So all drivers being treated for heat exhaustion down here as they come in.
We touched on at the beginning of the show, an extremely hot day here in Memphis. And again, this has been a one-day show, meaning that these drivers come in and they have 2 practices in the morning, then they qualify, and then they run the race. Well, they have been out exposed to this temperature all day long. It was upwards of 100 degrees. When we started the race, it was 93 degrees, and that was as the sun was setting. So it has been an extremely warm day in Memphis, Tennessee. We've had our 12th caution of the night. The crowd ready for this one to get done. And Sweden hosts an all-new NASCAR Nation Monday through Thursday on Speed Channel. Off track, in depth, and into the lives of NASCAR superstars. NASCAR Nation live beyond the fast lane. Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed Channel.
New format here recently with that show went from
you were just laughing
60 minutes.
What was that? What was funny there? Go ahead, you can explain it.
From 60 minutes to 30 minutes. Big change for that show. New host.
A couple new faces on that show as well.
Always. always laugh at you, Greg.
That's true.
I don't need a reason.
Yeah, thank goodness the camera's not on you all the time. Vic Johnson also joining Leanne Tweed on that show.
Or as Kenny Wallace says, that blonde girl. Did you hear him this week? He forgot her name.
He doesn't have Keith to help him out with those types of things.
Right.
Ron Hornaday would love to hang on for the final 25 laps to claim his second victory of 2005. Brandon Witt started on the pole for the first time in his career. He'd love to have his first pole end up with a win.
I told you I saw a big rabbit before walking around. You didn't believe me.
Shooting some T-shirts out to the audience.
Numerous mascots around the tour.
Beats the chicken outfit.
Well, Lugnut is one of the mascots. Horsepower is another one.
But Lugnut gets to ride and do donuts in that Legends car.
Yeah, the Charlotte. Exactly.
I'm not exactly sure. Do we know the name of Rabbit? Is there a...
Why a rabbit?
What is it?
Why a rabbit?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Why not Elvis?
Well,
I'd rather see Elvis.
Hey, you never see Elvis around here.
I went by Graceland today off exit 5B. It's interesting people there, but I didn't see Elvis.
Ron Hornaday currently fourth in the point standings, and he could pick up some big bonus points at this race if he's able to continue to lead. He would lead the most laps of this race and gain another 5 points for bonus points as far as not only leading a lap but leading the most laps.
Their bonus points were very, very big. Last year, Dennis Setzer finished second in the point standings, and basically the difference was the amount of bonus points that Bobby Hamilton got more than Dennis Setzer. That was the difference between first and second.
Watch how slow Ron brings him down to the green now. He used to be in the gas right about now and gone. Now he's just real patient.
He got that hand slapped back at Mansfield, and he's not going to do that.
Green flag.
Here we go with the restart. 23 laps of racing to go.
John Andretti getting pretty racy on the inside, trying to make a move.
Yep. David Rudiman still trying to nurse that transmission home. You see David Starr trying to get on the inside of Brendan Gaughan in the 77 truck.
Brendan Gaughan working the outside.
Brendan's been known to run on the high side of tracks and make passes. Ray.
Hey guys, let me tell you something. Brendan Gaughan has kept the night very light for all the guys on his race team. He has been a chatterbox throughout the night, telling them, hey, don't worry about the heat. I'm in great shape. Everything's cool. Got a great Jasper engine. We are running, just having a great time. I mean, he has just been talking all night long. So apparently the heat not affecting him too bad as he made an outside move there on David Starr.
I can't believe that. That's very uncharacteristic of Brendan Gaughan talking all the time.
No kidding. He always seems to be having fun. This is only 200 laps. He's used to going 1,000 miles of Baja alone in the desert. This is nothing for Brendan.
We caught a glimpse of Ted Musgrave very, very slow on the racetrack. He's going to actually turn in on the backstretch there. His night is over. Very, very much point ramifications for Ted Musgrave, who came in this race second in the points, only 83 out of the lead, and going to have a short night of it.
Oh, it looks like Brendan got a little trouble. Got into the 75 car just a little bit and got loose and up the track.
Oh, and almost. Jack Sprague almost got to the back of that 77. Is gone trying to get back up to speed.
He got his rhythm back pretty quick and got right back after it.
See if he can stay in front of Jack Sprague, not lose another spot. Jack Sprague gets sideways coming off turn number 4. That allows Matt Crafton to look to the inside. Does Jack know he's there?
Inside of 20 laps, and everyone's jockeying for positions in Memphis.
They know inside of 20 laps, you pass somebody, it's probably going to mean a finishing position. So everyone's trying to get all they can get.
Boy, up front it's getting interesting. Brandon Witt wants that spot. He wants to win his first NASCAR Craftsman truck race.
Ron Hornaday would love to hold him off. Those sparks flying. They're still touching the track at different spots around. Ron Hornaday out in front of Brandon Witt. They have pulled away from David Rudiman, who is in third position.
He's opened up a little bit of a gap on the 15 truck of John Andretti. That's the 4th spot. Brandon Wood had the fastest lap the last time by. This time, Ron Hornaday has the quickest lap of the lead lap trucks.
And now Ron Hornaday has led the most laps of any of the drivers. So if he's able to stay out in front, he'll get that extra 5 bonus points. Brandon Witt His best finish came 2 weeks ago, and he's trying to improve upon that tonight. He'd love it to be first, but right now he's holding on to second.
David Rudiman running third. That's his best career finish. He's had 4 third-place finishes, and all 4 of them have been on mile-and-a-half racetracks. So if he can at least maintain his third-place position right now, he will equal his career best, but it'll be the first time he's done it on a short track.
He's got almost a second over John Andretti, who's behind him, and so the top 3 have separated themselves quite a bit from the 4th position truck, which is John Andretti. But the battle right now is between the top 2. Hornaday not able to shake the 38 of Brandon Witt.
Regardless of what happens at the end of this race, Brandon Witt has really been impressive. That's really the 2nd consecutive race that he's done a terrific job, but he's been in the lead or in the top 5 positions this entire race.
And with 14 laps to go, David Rudiman was talking about he wanted a longer run. Could these last 14 laps give him what he needs to get that truck in the right order so that he can get up and start competing for second and first with these 2 trucks in front of him?
I'm telling you, it looks like Brandon Witt has the best truck right now. He's able to, if Ron Hornaday wasn't there, he may be able to drive off from Ron Hornaday. But Ron Hornaday is going to be a pretty tough cat to pass.
Yeah, the problem is Ron Hornaday is a tough veteran. And Brandon with his, this would be his best finish ever second. So he doesn't want to throw it away by making a mistake, getting by Ron.
But if he's got the best truck, you want to get out front.
You want to get out front, but sometimes you need to finish second before you can go back and finish first.
Here's 4th and 5th. That's John Andretti just in front of the 46 of Dennis Setzer. Setzer trying to improve on his position. It's going to be a good points night for Dennis Setzer as Ted Musgrave already behind the wall and Bobby Hamilton currently running in 8th position.
Brandon Witt was able to little nudge there from Dennis Setzer, it looked like. Remember, we saw earlier Dennis Setzer being able to hold that tight line coming off turn number 4. I said that may work for him later in the race. Looks like he's going to allow him to get up beside John Andretti to make some contact.
This is the battle for the lead on the left, and now you see the battle for 4th and 5th on your screen. That is Dennis Setzer out in front. And now the 75 of David Starr and the 77 of Brendan Gaughan are able to get by the 15. And so John Andretti backing up.
I think that was a situation. John, I'm sure, knew that Dennis Setzer was there, but said, hey, maybe I can get him out of the throttle. Maybe I can not allow him to drive down underneath me. It didn't work. They made some contact. It cost John a couple spots.
Yeah, with 10 laps to go, John was just doing everything he could to hold him off.
Inside of 10 laps remaining, it's Ron Hornaday in front of Brandon Witt.
Let's take a look at this. You see Dennis, he pulls to the inside of John Andretti. John said, please back off and let me get to the bottom of the racetrack. It didn't happen. This is inside of 10 laps to go. Dennis said, I got to have that spot.
Setzer took it away. Now Brandon Witt closing the gap again with the 6 of Ron Hornaday.
Ron Hornaday is running such a smooth race. He has not made any mistakes. He's got Brandon Witt right on his bumper. If he makes a mistake, Brandon Witt could capitalize and get by him. But Ron Hornaday doesn't make very many mistakes. He's won 27 of these things.
Exactly. And Phil and Boris, as we look at their lap times, they're running almost identical. Last time by, it was 7/1000th of a second that separated the 2 of these drivers as far as lap speeds. And this time by, Brandon Witt has the faster lap time by 17/1000th of a second. Ray.
This is actually the 9th race of the season that Hornaday has led, but when we look at the short track stats, Hornaday is going to be way out front in laps led. He came in here tonight with 119 laps led, and he's sure going to add to that tonight. So with just our 3rd short track race of the season, Hornaday blowing him away in the stats.
Ron Hornaday has the advantage over lap trucks because he gets there first. He can pick his way around, and Brandon Witt pretty much has to follow Ron Hornaday. Let's see if we can take a look at the speeds at the line and see who is the fastest truck on the racetrack right now.
5 laps to go. It's Ron Hornaday the fastest, Brandon Witt the 2nd fastest. And now we see Dennis Setzer, the fastest truck on the track.
Yeah, but Dennis is almost 6 seconds behind this battle for the lead. So Dennis is pretty much out of contention if the caution flag doesn't come out. You see a great side-by-side battle. David Starr, the 75 on the inside. There's Brendan Gaughan on the outside. Brendan drives down the corner. David gets in the throttle a little bit quicker, and the caution flag is out.
13th caution, a record for for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Memphis Motorsports Park. That is the 8 of Deborah Renshaw, and now look at, they're saying, oh boy, that is not what we needed right now.
Ron Hornaday's crew chief.
I don't know, green, white, checkered, I don't think it's a bad thing for Ron Hornaday when as good as his restarts are.
If I've got a green, white checker, I want Ron Hornaday in my truck because he is the master on restarts. He's been very, very calm on the restarts. I think David Rudiman is the one right now that should be worried because he's really had a bit of a transmission problem. He lost second position early on about 3 or 4 restarts ago by not being able to get his truck from second to third gear, and it looks like he had a couple trucks almost pass him on the subsequent restarts because he was a little bit slow on the 2-3 shift.
The guy you got to give a call to too is Todd Cleaver. I mean, he's already back in 12th place after going all the way to the end of the line not too many laps ago. And Johnny Benson, who had all kinds of trouble, and he's in 10th place.
We've documented the problems with David Rudiman on the restart. Wendy, do you think they have that problem fixed?
I wanted to add what Phil was talking about. Remember we mentioned earlier David Rudiman has been better on the long run. So with these 3 laps to go, or how many, when we get back racing, those 2 laps that we have green, we're not sure if David Rudiman's air pressures will be up to par, and we'll have to see how the 17 plays out the last 2 laps. But he has been better on the long green flag runs, right?
Well, Wendy, let's give some green, white, checkered stats because this will be our 6th time we've done it so far in 2005. But you were right, guys. When you want to talk about stats, how about Hornaday? In his green, white, checkered finishes in his career, he's got 8 first-place finishes and 3 second-place finishes. Brandon Witt has never competed in first or second position in a green, white, checkered finish. So I'm with you. I'm going to put my money on Hornaday. But the 6th different one this season, and we've had 5 different guys go to victory lane in green, white, checkered finishes.
Ron Hornaday with the most all-time wins at 27. Jack Sprague was creeping up to him there at 25.
Both of those drivers have 1 win so far this season. Ron Hornaday looking to make it number 2. Ted Musgrave has a win this year. And Dennis Setzer has 3 wins to move up into 6th all-time.
So as Ray mentioned, we will have another green, white, checkered finish in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We'll see 2 to go that will stay on the screen until we get this underway. Pace Truck has had quite a bit of work to do this evening. 13 caution flags have come out at Memphis Motorsports Park. Ron Hornaday will lead the most laps at Memphis, earning him 10 bonus points, the 5 for leading a lap and then the 5 for leading the most laps. So that will definitely help him as far as a points night, as he came into tonight's race 4th in the point standings. Wally Rogers looking very comfortable in the extreme heat of Memphis.
It's always pretty cool to see the black Goodwrench truck up front, huh? It's like the old days with Earnhardt. You know, Dale Earnhardt, he also found Ron Hornaday in the truck series. And, I'm sure if he's up there right now, him and Elvis are probably watching and laughing.
And let's see that Goodwrench make it to victory lane. Again, a new trophy at Memphis. Likeness of Elvis Presley on top of that trophy, and that will be one that everyone would cherish if they were able to claim the top spot in Memphis.
Well, Ron Hornaday's in the driver's seat for that trophy right now, but Brandon Witt would sure like to get career win number 1.
And as Ron Hornaday, don't you almost have to feel a little bit more confidence knowing that you've got a rookie right behind you, as far as he's known as the master of restarts, and a rookie right behind him? He's got to think, man, I think I can lock this thing up if I have a good start.
Well, you remember just a couple races ago that he had a vapor lock or some sort of a carburetor problem on the restart, and ended up almost knocking him out of the race. So anything can happen on these restarts.
He actually got pretty mad at me. He thought that he said he thought we called him missing a shift. He said, I didn't miss a shift. I don't miss shifts on restarts. He doesn't want to miss one right here. The green flag flies. It's a green, white, checkered finish for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
And Ron gets a patented great start.
Didn't get too far out in front of the 38 of Brandon Witt, though. Witt trying to hang on as they go down the backstretch. Next time by, it'll be the white flag. As they come out of 3 and 4, Ron Hornaday will see the white flag, 3/4 of a mile to go.
You see the 77 car go around the 46 on the outside of turn 3 and 4, and we have a spinner. Spinner in turn 3.
It's Jimmy Spencer spinning in turn 3 and 4. That creates smoke, but will it bring out the caution? As far as we know, it will not. And so, Ron Hornaday will try to hold on, and Hornaday has problems in the smoke. He gets spun around. The 38 comes by him, and it'll be Brandon Witt taking the checkered flag. Unbelievable. Ron Hornaday slowed in the smoke, gets into the wall, and now he's going to back across the start-finish line.
And when have you seen that?
Nope, not quite backing across. He will pull across forward. Unbelievable as Ron Hornaday gets spun around with the smoke in turn 3 and 4. He gets turned into the wall. Brandon Witt drives right by and takes the checkered flag.
Unbelievable. I think you never know on these green-white checker finishes. Brandon Witt, what a terrific job. He ran well all night. You know, you hate to see Ron Hornaday have trouble like he did right there on the last lap, but Brandon Witt, what a big win for him.
Amazing. You just never know what's going to happen in these NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series races. They're always exciting right to the end.
Look at this. The El Cajon, California native puts the front end of his Toyota Tundra up against the wall and gives the fans a show that they deserve. And how about that finish?
Now you know why we had a shot at Wally Rogers preaching for Ron Hornaday when that caution flag came out. Now you know why he was holding his head, because you never know on a green-white checker, and that's how we finish these truck races.
And remember, he just won his team $18,000. Brandon Witt was starting on the pole tonight. He wins the Craftsman Win from the Pole Award. Ray, who have you caught up with?
Well, Rick, I've got his dad, Dan, and I want to tell you something. That may be one of the most incredible jobs I've seen as a driver. You have to be awfully proud of what he did tonight. Tell me about the emotion of this. I know you put a lot into this team.
You know, we started this team, and, you know, we worked and worked and worked, and with Toyota coming on board, and then with Jeff and Tom taking over as Red Horse, it's just that added thing that we needed, and Brandon's just never given up, and he believes in himself.
Go have some fun in Victory Lane. That's Dan Witt, his father, and he's going to go down here and celebrate with a kid who was in incredible pain tonight, but he's going to Victory Lane.
I don't think he's feeling any pain at all right now. He's just waiting for the champagne.
We got a shot of one driver that was feeling some pain. Ron Hornaday got out of his truck and walking down pit road. I'm sure cannot believe the turn of events.
Craftsman toolbox on top of the 38 Toyota Tundra, McMillan Homes Tundra of Brandon Witt. He was able to capture his first ever pole in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series earlier today, and he backs that up with his first ever career win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as he unbuckles and tries to get ready to come out in a celebration. His family's going to join him down right next to the start-finish line. Again, the $18,000 Craftsman bonus sign going up as Brandon Witt able to win that award with a career best finish. David Rudiman, I believe Wendy is caught up with the ATN Bearings driver.
I have Rick and David Rudiman, his career best finish of second. David, you look disappointed, but heck, you got one more spot there at the end.
Yeah, my hat's off to Brandon Witt and those guys. They did a great job, but we had a great truck tonight, but idiot driver doesn't know how to shift the thing on a restart, and that cost us a position, and it's my fault. You know, all you got to do is go from second to third to fourth. It shouldn't be too hard, but I don't know. It's just a disappointing. Thanks to NTN Bearings to it. A great motor, great pit stops. I mean, I got a killer team right here, and getting closer is just disappointing.
All right, David Rudiman, he shouldn't beat himself up because he has his career best finish of second. Ray, I think you're in Victory Lane now.
Yeah, sort of, Wendy. We had to run over here, but I'll tell you what, I have not seen a more incredible performance than that. How in the world were you able to stay in that truck?
Man, it was really hot tonight. You know, I almost about passed out before that red flag, but you know, I knew I had to stay strong for my guys because they were behind me 100%. And man, by McMillan Homes Tundra was something you just dream about having on a race like this. And you know, when something comes like this, it don't come very often, so you got to appreciate when you get it.
Come over here. I want to show you this trophy. Check out how cool this is. A brand new Elvis Presley trophy. You're the first guy to ever get one.
That is so awesome. You know, I'm so excited. This is beyond belief. You know, I'm up on cloud 9 right now. I don't think I'm going to come down for a couple weeks.
You had that very last lap. Did you have any belief that you were going to be able to beat Hornaday, or is it kind of all surreal?
I don't know, man. He was real good, and he's got them Hornaday restarts that you can't keep up with. And, you know, I knew we had a good truck on the long run, but we kept getting them cautions, and I knew we just needed something freak to happen, and there it was.
You were very impressive tonight. Congratulations. Brandon Witt gets his first ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Fireworks and celebration taking place right now. Let's see what happened to enable Brandon Witt to get by. Now, this is earlier. This is a lap earlier. That's Jimmy Spencer spinning around. There's no caution that comes out. He creates a lot of smoke, though, and so he's able to drive out of there, and the smoke still lingering in turns 3 and 4.
Here's Ron Hornaday, our leader. When he gets down to 3 and 4 there, he slows down because of the smoke. Brandon Witt actually makes a little contact because Ron Hornaday slowed down. It puts Ron into the inside wall, and Brandon Witt goes on to victory.
Now, in that instant, Boris, his spotter has got to be telling him there's no wreck there. That's just smoke. There's no wreck. Is that, I mean, did he make a mistake?
I think he was just a little overcautious, and it looked like Brandon might have just got into him, but if any, it was just barely, because you don't see any marks on his truck at all.
Yeah, I think he just nudged him enough to turn him around. Again, we talked earlier, it doesn't take much to turn these trucks around, and you see Ron going to back up. He's going to lose a tremendous amount of positions. He goes from leading coming off turn number 4 to finishing 21st unofficially, but what a horrible bad break for Ron Hornaday. And I think you're right. I think the spotter's got to tell him, hey, the racetrack's clear, there's a lot of smoke, don't worry about it.
Well, you got to feel for Ron a little bit. I mean, he had his hand on that Elvis trophy and just got away from him.
We saw Ron Hornaday, and he looked soaked. We don't know if that was perspiration or if someone has dumped water on him.
How about going down the front straightaway in reverse, though? That was impressive.
Difficult night for Ron Hornaday. Great night for Brandon Witt. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Celebration continuing for the 38 of Brandon Witt. After 202 laps, it was the 38 Toyota Tundra of Brandon Witt that made it to victory lane, and this is why.
That's one lap that Brandon Witt's going to remember for a long time, lap 202.
I think Ron Hornaday will remember it too.
You see Jimmy Spencer, that's what causes this. He spins out there. He's going to create a lot of smoke. The other field, the rest of the leaders of the field are over on the other side of the racetrack right now, but look at all the smoke on the racetrack.
So Jimmy Spencer gets spun around but gets it going again. The caution does not come out. Now here's when Ron Hornaday sees the smoke.
Looked like he got back in the throttle, saw all the smoke, looked like he backed off again, and Brandon Witt was so close he just nudged him a little bit, and it poked Ron into the inside wall. Watch another view here. There's a lot of smoke there. From that angle you can especially see how much smoke there is.
Like he just tipped a bit right side of his bumper. This is cool.
Watch this view right here. Again, he's driving towards the smoke. You see him back off there. Brandon Witt just makes some slight contact with a right rear corner, and that turns Ron to the inside wall. But hey, nothing Brandon Witt could do here. Ron just slowed down right at the very last instant. Brandon had nowhere to go.
Standing by with Ron Hornaday is Wendy Venerini.
Unofficially, after all that, Ron Hornaday comes home 21st. Ron, what happened? The booth guys are contemplating. You tell us your story.
First of all, I gotta say, hope John Paul gets better. He's back in the hospital, and Robert, our next door neighbor, takes care of our dogs. But I guess it's my own fault. I seen a bunch of smoke. I mean, I wasn't gonna play day at the Thunder and drive through it with the truck on the other side and ruin our. It's a good truck. We probably need it for IRP. So I didn't know the smoke was there. I didn't know it was on the other side of it. So I just checked up a little bit. I mean, had a good roll, and he just had a good run on me and just tapped me a little bit. But that's part of it. I mean, we had a good truck, and that's all I can say. The GM, good wrench Chevrolet Silverado was good, and I blew it.
We know you've had a new spotter the last couple of weeks. Did your spotter clear you?
I didn't even know the smoke was there until I drove down there. So that's just part of it. I mean, nothing was there, so he figured you can go through the smoke. I didn't know it was on the other side, so try to save a truck, but maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have just went through the smoke and could have won the race.
How's the heat exhaustion treating you tonight?
I'm just cooked. I am just my rear end is hot, my back's hot, and just got to fix the blowers in the truck. So other than that, it was fun. It was a fun night. Really hot out there, and congratulations to everybody. I mean, to finish this thing and as hot as it was a good race. Thanks NASCAR for what they always do, and Craftsman, and got to thank Snap-on because they've been part of this thing. And Goodyear tires, I mean, awesome again. I just 100-something laps on tires. Pretty cool.
An unfortunate night for Ron Hornaday as another win slips away. Rick?
Well, let's take a look at the unofficial results. Brandon Witt, of course, on top. That's the first time
in the sports world, Tom.
After that spin on the very final lap.
You know, one thing that looked a lot different too, when you saw Ron Hornaday's in-car camera, the smoke was completely blocking the track view, where from outside, from the booth, it didn't look that bad, but in the truck, he couldn't see anything, so he was a man enough to admit he made a slight mistake.
But we heard Ron say that he didn't know anything about the smoke, and that's a situation where the spotter says, hey, there's a lot of smoke over here in turn number 4, but hey, track's clear, come on through.
Smile won't be taken off of that young man's face for quite some time. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Welcome back to Memphis, Tennessee. Brandon Witt claims the Mobil 1 move of the race. Tonight's Mobil 1 move of the race is brought to you by the new Mobil 1 Extended Performance, official motor oil of NASCAR.
There it is. For the win. Pass for the win coming off turn number 4 on the very last lap.
Ron Hornaday trying to keep his finish strong, backs up to the start-finish line, and is able to pull across. Ray.
Hey, Rick, I think it'd be fair to say that Brendan Gaughan passed the most trucks out there tonight. Outstanding job coming home third. How was your night?
Great race team, Jasper Engines and Tony Liberati, man. Great pit stop, great calls. You know, Memphis makes Kansas look like a shame. They had little fairgrounds here, and they put up lights. Great night in NASCAR. Can't say enough. Thanks for throwing the red flag and giving some of us guys water. That 36 to 3rd. I mean, watch out, Jasper Engines, we coming back.
All right, congratulations. Great run for Brendan Gaughan tonight here at Memphis.
Ford point standings, Dennis Setzer holding on to the top spot and really increasing his lead over Ted Musgrave. 158 points now.
You said there may be a vapor trail on the Miami homestead. It could be. Dennis Setzer, big lead.
It was Brandon Witt, the 22-year-old from El Cajon, California, claiming his first ever Truck Series pole, and he had high aspirations tonight. He was able to battle the heat when it was extremely hot, and others couldn't battle it. He was able to come home as our winner of the first trophy with donning the Elvis Presley likeness at Memphis Motorsports Park. Congratulations, Brandon Witt.